Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We always love you tuning us on in, especially when we have one of my favorite guests on tonight. Barry Littleton will be on momentarily to get this show going as we're going to get into some weird and strange stuff. That's why I love having Barry here. It's always weird and strange with his topics, and he's one of the best out there. And if you watch Jessica Jones, you'll know damn well that Barry is true to his form. Hey, we want to say hello to everyone listening in on our YouTube channel tonight. We're going to start off with SJ in the gold medal position. Tim Mothman and his goatee sharing a silver. Race fan with a bronze medal tonight. Let's continue on with our roll call. We have Kitty Cattywack, Robert Lamoth, Frankie B. How you doing? Brown Dwarf, Deb from Sac. How you doing? And otherwise known as Deborah Rooney. Dragonfly, that's Jay Zen. Welcome to SOR Chat. Jay Zen. Raven Haynes is here. Raven will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Mama Catherine, mwah, I love you, my dear. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful evening. It's so good to see you once again. Mel WD40 is here, lubing us up for tonight's show, because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You don't want any rigidness. Rigidness means uncomfortability. You got to go smooth. Barry likes a smooth show, so we're lubing the hell out of this show right now as we speak. Continuing on with our roll call, Lars Janssen is here. He's wearing Peter Klima's old number 85 from Stockholm, Sweden, starting at left wing tonight. Karen in the Woo Train, Lee the Bee, good to see you both here. So we continue on with the roll call. Belletti, my man. Asteroid is back. Asteroid will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Flat 6, good to see you again. As we continue on with the roll call. In the studio, Matthew Goodka. Good to see you both. And let's scroll on down. Well, there's John Lamb. If you wave at him, he'll always wave back. Operation Shutdown. W. David Page, how you doing? And thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very, very much. There's Barry Littleton in the chat room as well. Make sure you click on his channel and go subscribe. Dude deserves it. He's one of the best. Road Flare, how you doing? Rock and Rory, it's been a while. Good to have you here. Al Garay over on Twitch. 10,000 sit-ups in 90 seconds. His stomach is jacked for Barry tonight. Absolutely jacked. Scott's Life, JSCO, Ethanol. Good to see you all. Hi, J Truth Seeker. Mama Catherine, thank you for that lovely super chat. Greatly appreciate you giving that. Why is that not close? There it is. Now it's up there. Digger Dog, how you doing? Chill Farm, good to see you. Chad Palmer, nice to have you back. Lulu Bell, how are you? Beautiful. Good to see you. Kimberly Burgess, what's happening? How you doing? Thanks for coming on in. Paramarv, Adam Weiss, good to have you both here. So we continue on with our roll call. Scrolling on down, there's Marty Burback. He's enough Marty for all of us. Yes, he is. Errico, Tokeland, and who's next? Erica Stover, welcome to SOR Chat. Continuing on with our roll call, High Hill Billy Herb, nice to see you. As well as Jeff Steve Garvey, he'll hit a home run for you. So we continue on with our roll call tonight. Scrolling on down, Vanessa, thanks for coming on in. Dr. Robert, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Momentarily, we'll be joined by Barry Littleton. We're going over everything from UFOs to telepathy, every monster in between. We are in roll call right now on our YouTube side. Deb, thank you very much for that awesome super chat. Always appreciate your love and support. As well, Paul Demon, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. I think we're caught up. Oh, there's Walter. Wave to Walter. He always waves back. That's right. And don't forget, the super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. As well, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You can wear our stuff out in public and actually be proud to wear it. Here we go. Throw those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network, our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock of Buffalo, read the news wire, check out our site as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon and the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a fantastic show coming up. Barry Littleton will be here momentarily to take us down the road of everything weird and strange. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will kick things off with a spooky story, followed up by the Cryptid Report tonight with Robin Haynes. Let's get right to it, because literally Barry Littleton is one of my favorite guests on this show. Dude is so knowledgeable and so smart on not just one topic, but a plethora of topics. And anytime I get to use the word plethora, that's a good thing because it's my favorite word. What is a plethora? Remember the Three Amigos? What is a plethora, El Guapo? Yes, love that movie. For the last 2 decades, Barry Littleton has been a clear voice of research into the unknown. A stock trader by day, by night, he delves deep into the darkest topics of the paranormal, supernatural, and spiritual. Barry's interests and education have him seeking the truth to topics such as dinosaurs, ghosts, and even time travel. Maybe even a little telepathy and UFOs mixed in on the side. Let's bring him in because enough about me talking. We need Barry talking here. Barry, it's been way too long since we had you on Spaced Out Radio. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, pretty good, Dave. How's it going, man? Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. That was a heck of an introduction, man. I hope I can live up to some of that. And hello to everybody in your audience, too. It's pretty popping in your chat, I see, so that's cool.
I mean that when I learned about you a couple of years ago, I had a bunch of people messaging me. Dave, you got to get Barry Littleton on. And I will tell you, man, when I first had you on, I was so amazed and blown away by the amount of research and knowledge, because it's one thing to do headline research. It's another thing to actually delve deep and go down the paths, whether they hit a dead end or whether there is something more to it. And that's what I love about you, is you take every path to the fullest extent. Why do you do it that way? Why do you take the time?
Thank you. Well, I'm one of those people that, sometimes we feel like that the knowledge, we're chasing the knowledge and chasing the information, but really it's chasing us. And I'm one of those people who start having experiences as far back as I can remember, and then things that I had childhood experiences that were different than my adult onset experiences, and the missing time and things of that nature, and how the contact experience and actually experiencing clairvoyance, mediumship, all these things is kind of in some ways fractured in ways, if that makes sense. So I became really obsessed with finding out what is the consciousness behind all this phenomenon. What's the conscious aspect? We've got these materialists that kind of guard these communities and guard these subjects, and want to keep everything material in terms of nuts and bolts and things that are very third dimensional, when the truth is all these phenomena are connected. I had a near death experience. I've had a type of extraterrestrial interdimensional contact all my life, and I'm not the only one. These things, a lot of lifetime experiencers have had NDE too. They're not the separate things and separate classifications that we try to make them. I hope that answered your question. Can't hear you, Dave.
I don't. For some reason, my computer
you.
jumped on my mute button. That was weird. I wasn't even
there you
touching my mouse. My studio is haunted, by the way.
Really? Seriously?
Honestly, if you go on our YouTube channel, you could actually we just put a video up of something whistling during one of my interviews. It's like a just like that. And this Bigfoot light that I have on my wall here, when I walk into the studio, it's turned on. Nobody comes. My studio is under lock and key, man. Nobody comes in here except me. And when I walk in here, usually almost every night, that light is on. It's the weirdest thing. Weirdest thing. So the fact that something just got my mouse and muted my microphone, I got goosebumps right now, to be honest. And what I wanted to ask you, as I get weirded out now that I think about it, whoa, your experiences. Not many people in this world are multiple experiencers. You are one. I am one. And multiple experiencers have a tougher time on bringing their knowledge to the table, because there's a lot of critics out there who will sit there and say, oh, nobody's had that many experiences. That's impossible. You're doing it for ratings. You're doing it for clickbait. You're doing it for subscribers and followers and trying to make an extra buck off of YouTube or whatever it is. But the reality,
that's about all you go get, about a buck.
but the reality is, Barry, there are people out there who, for some reason, the phenomena really overloads on different situations. Why do you think you were chosen for so many different experiences?
I'll tell you, I honestly got to say, and I've always maintained this, that I'm not special. You know what I mean? I'm unique, but everybody that has experiences is unique because they're all different. And I was always on the impression that about 70 to 80% of our population had contact and experiences, but it happens in the dream state, in the dream level, the dream or the theta states or delta states of consciousness. So we're kind of unaware of it. Even for myself, some of these experiences, like per se, being on board one of these craft or something, and then afterwards, as soon as you're not there physically and you're not in the presence and the biofield of some of these non-humans, it starts fading as you go, as you get away from the event horizon, it starts fading, becoming fractured. So that's something, that I think just a lot of people need to be aware of. And how many people truly remember their dreams? Not everybody. Not everybody's got that gift. So in a lot of contact that happens like that, or on the super conscious level, whether you want to call it divine over self, or these higher frequencies and more higher vibrations, it's hard to retain the memory of it. And I think that's what happens to a lot of us. So I don't think I'm unique in that way. But I think probably a lot of people in your audience are experiencers. Some of us, it's maybe astral type of dream energy type of contact. and then you have the other that's physical like me. I've had both, and I don't talk about the astral type of contact as much because I couldn't touch things. It's not the same. It kind of feels the same, but it's not. And like, for example, suffering from a type of sickness on board one of these craft from that type of mist that's on board it. It smells like Windex to a degree. And then kind of being off, like the inside and the outside of the craft are not in the same dimension. That's why it's kind of bigger on the inside. And it's that way. But for us to be there third dimensional, it's not quite correct. And it gives you this thing they call temporal aphasia. It's what they were putting in my mind anyway, while I was so sick. And it felt like being on a roller coaster. You know what I mean? When you first lose your stomach on a roller coaster or being on a merry-go-round. I never liked those as a kid, and I made the connection immediately. Anyway, that's what I think it is. It's just, so it's a matter of consciously right now, to finish up what you were asking. We've got so many people that are incarnating right now that have past life memories like I did, and have these experiences are on a different vibration right now. And Dave, I swear, and I say this on Jessica's show a lot, I think it's humanity's attempt, the creator and the humanity's attempt to save itself, to be saved. I really do, to keep our stewardship of this planet. Because you and I both know there's a whole lot of forces that want to come in here and take over, both outer space, interdimensional, multidimensional. There's a whole lot want to come in here. It's bad enough we've been tearing holes in the fabric of our planet with these bombs. We don't know what all's coming here.
I got to ask you, just to rewind for a second, talk about dreams, because, the only dreams that I ever remember are when I'm taken. I couldn't tell you what I dreamt last night, the night before, a week ago, but I could sure tell you back in February when I was taken with my father. I could sure tell you that, and I break down that dream. Otherwise, I don't remember my dreams. Are you the same way? Or do you have recall of your dreams at night?
Yeah. I had to practice that. I had to go through things like those gates of dreaming and things to actually learn how to gain dream attention. I can do things out here, but so much of my attention is focused on this and survival. When I go to sleep, man, my butt be out a lot of times. So I had to try to learn how to actually do things like looking at your hands in your dream, then actually shifting your awareness and your gaze, things like that. But when I would have, especially as a child, when I would have a contact experience, I might fall asleep just a second, I'll wake back up and I'm on board one of these craft. And if it was a physical experience, at first I'd be pretty freaked out for just a second. Then kind of the vibration and the hum that you're getting, it kind of calms that to a degree. But still it's always tripped out, and I could touch things, so I knew this was real. And I started having these experiences, so that was the difference, and then not to mention during the next day after you come back, whatever happens, the next day at school, man, be burned out. Like you have not slept all night. You know what I mean? So it's got to be real. And then something happened that it transferred, and I call it the acid rain experience. I had in the 6th grade, that it went from this night thing that I could not prove to it being actually interfering with my day life. And I knew it was something that supported it so strong that I knew it was real. So that's the only way I can kind of answer that. Otherwise, it's a slightly different feeling. And I think that a lot of clients have now, I do regressions. A lot of them will think, that they were having recurring dreams of being on board these ships again and again. And in reality, they have technology that will bilocate us. Okay. So that when you had this experience, actually your physical body may still have been in the bed, but they've bilocated and taken your energy body, your dream body, and that's on board the craft. For example, Dave, God, I can't believe I actually got something here I can grab. That never works like that. You must be a good luck charm, man. For like this craft right here, when I saw this, okay, and I was standing down here, and then I wanted to go up here because I could see people. These were decks, and I could see somebody. Like there were people standing there, but they're one at a time touching this light. So I wanted to go up there. And when I tried to get up there, suddenly I'm up there. That was to the point of extreme about to throw up. Okay, but these people I could see up here, and one of them is somebody And since Alexis Brooks announced it publicly and they talked about it, one of them was Susan Manwich. And when I saw this craft, I was 16, okay? That's not somebody I knew. But the thing is, each one of these people that were touching this light and coming back from this deck were kind of transparent. Okay. And so they're in dream body. And I can tell you why, because I'm up there about to throw up, and this experience is about to be over, my friend. About to pass out and throw up, period, puke. So, but they weren't having the same problem that I was with this temporal aphasia, because the dream body does not correspond to conform to the same physical parameters of this body, physical laws. So, and in that way, they can meet us halfway. And I think it's very important for people to know that. And can sometimes we get screen memories and things and horrible experiences that make people think that they're dreams and things of that nature? Yes. Right now, to throw this on too, since I'm with Dave and Dave likes to talk about cool stuff, is targeted dream incubation technology. And that is actually how they are not just hacking the human brain, but finding a way to turn our dreams into memories and those memories into reality. And that's being used to infiltrate the contact experience right now. And I think to really rewrite the narrative. It's what they're doing with neuroscience, neuroweapons right now is very serious. You know, what they're trying to give Google a brain right now and map it into an Android type of form, like a data or something. It's probably not good, my friend. Anyway, sorry, I don't want to get off topic too much.
Oh, no problem. No problem. You know, we talk about the strange things that happen when you're being taken. Like you're saying that you get this feeling of being sick and feeling like you're going to vomit, like after riding a merry-go-round after, 100 spins. Do you get the gravitational pull that happens right at the beginning when you're about to be taken?
Yeah, I felt that before.
Oh,
And
and
and sometimes also when one of these craft is about to go into a black hole or into a mako and make a frequency jump, there's a slight bump you feel with that too, this boom. You know what I mean? And it's like you're being pulled down a little bit G-force wise, but it's just for a millisecond. It's like a bump. And it's interesting because I started hearing other experiencers and contactees talk about feeling that bump. For those of us that have felt that, be aware you probably went somewhere. The destination after that bump was most likely, it could have been another universe, another galaxy, another solar system, whatever the case is. But when you're dealing with beings that can manipulate the space-time continuums, man, all bets are off,
I've never felt that, Barry. They
Really?
don't give me. I've only had recall twice of being on craft.
Mm-hmm.
Twice. One was my first time, and the second time was when I was taken with my partner, and that was weird. It was like when I recall that one, we were standing in line, and I thought we were going into like a concert hall. And I was watching people in front of us. I know there were people behind us, and they were we were shuffling through, and then there was this giant square that you stood on that raised diagonally up. So instead of walking up the stairs to your seats, you would take this like square tram that you would stand on, and it would take you up to these seats that were kind of like if you cut a quarter section out of a watermelon. And when it was our turn, we went up. It stopped at our seats. I got off first. She got off second. And it was like we were sitting on Velcro. And I remember it feeling like Velcro because even as a kid, I hated the feeling of Velcro. Or not Velcro, pardon me. What's that? Not Velcro. Almost like cords type material. Anyways, I hated that feeling as a kid. And we were sitting there, and we're looking down, and our feet are kind of dangling down. And it's like we're looking down on this stage, and there's all these different pods like we're sitting in all around us. Next thing I know, I am dead asleep. And I wake up, and I pick my head up, and I'm looking to the left, and then I look to the right, and my partner is sleeping right beside me, and she is naked. and I look down at myself and I am naked. And I put myself in a push-up position to try and get up, and something grabbed the back of my head and shoved it right down to the point that I could not get my head back up. And it knocked me out again. And a few minutes later, I woke up, I swung my legs over, and right in front of me is this little gray dude in like a laboratory coat walking away. And I start screaming at him, and I saw something else move behind him, and there was a little baby. I knew it was a baby boy, and the one thing that hit me about it was that the diaper was luminescent green with luminescent red and black veins kind of running through it. And that little baby, as toddlers, they do that duck step when they're learning to walk. Mm-hmm. He was following right behind this alien dude.
Now, did this appear to be a human baby or a hybrid, or what was its appearance? Was this your son or
human looking? It was human looking, except the diaper, which made me realize that it was some sort of hybrid.
Do you feel this was connected to you or your mate?
I don't know.
Was this child?
I don't know.
One more question. Do you feel this was a positive experience or a negative one?
It was negative.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. It was a negative experience, and I've had troubles telling that story over the years.
I understand.
Yeah. The one with my dad was really cool. This past February.
What was that like?
I'll try and get it in 2 minutes here.
Okay.
I went to bed after the show. I fell asleep just after 1 o'clock. I woke up wide awake at 2:09 a.m. and I had to go to the bathroom really bad. But I knew that something had happened because in my dream, what happened right before that was I was in a dark alley with my dad, my cousin, and my best friend growing up. And it was completely dark, but you could still see shadows around from, moonlight and all that kind of stuff. And I remember saying, hold on, I got to pick up my cell phone. And I picked up my cell phone from this stairwell, and it was an old Nokia phone, those indestructible 1995 phones. And I never had that phone because I always hated that phone. I always thought it was ugly. But for some reason, it was that phone. And then the gravitational pull started. And I remember saying, oh, blank, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And I dropped the phone. Woke up at 2:09 a.m., having to go to the bathroom really bad, and realizing that as I'm about to turn over, I could feel the dudes right behind me in my bedroom. And I'm like, don't look, don't look, don't look. And I'm like, and then all of a sudden it kind of clipped in my head, Dave, this is what you do for a living. You have to look. Gather your intestinal fortitude and take a look. So I sheepishly started to turn my head right to look over my shoulder, and outside my window, I saw a bright flash of white light, and all of a sudden the feeling of them being there is gone. So I jump up, go to the bathroom, but the minute my feet hit the ground, I was frozen cold. Frozen cold. And my teeth were chattering, and it was like, come on, right? And I'm going to have to finish this story when we come back from the break because there's a lot more to it than I can explain in 2 minutes, and I know you're going to want to hear it, Barry. Barry Littleton is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're getting into all things weird and strange. We will touch on UFOs and telepathy coming on up here on the big show with Barry Littleton. Make sure you head to his YouTube channel and subscribe to that as well. We'll be right back on Spaced Out Radio right after this. I'm going to hold off on just telling the rest of that story until we come back.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
I know. Cool.
But that damn gravitational pull, man. Hate that. Hate that.
Yeah. In fact, when we come back, I'll speak on that a little bit. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Cool. Huh. Well, that chat is really jumping. Cool.
Oh yeah.
How long is our break here?
We got about 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll probably use the restroom and be right back. So
yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Cool.
I'll just put you in the green room until you get back.
Okay, cool. Looks like there's kind people in the chat, man. That's great, man.
Oh man, they love you. They love you.
Wow, that's super cool, man. That's super cool. Okay, I'll be right back.
All right, man. He's all excited. All excited. No, it wasn't corduroy. Velvet. That's what I was talking about. Velvet, not Velcro. Velvet. Hate the feeling of velvet. I knew it would come to me. Bob Thorson, how you doing? Gorgeous Larry, nice to see you. And who else has jumped in here? Dry Toast, the best name on YouTube. Dry Toast. Dan Guest, welcome to SOR Chat. Hi, Kathy Evans. Nice to see you. 5:28 a.m. Just woke up. Good morning to you, Dan. You must be in the UK. The gorgeous and talented cryptid huntress, Jessica Jones. How are you, my beautiful friend? Carol Amario, nice to see you. Who else is here? Oh, Fap, you'd love an autographed picture naked of me. You would. Dave Tiger Williams, he'll sit 5 minutes in the box for you. Uh-huh. Parasolo, good to see you. Woo-poo, nice to have you here. Warden Dragon, good to have you here. Lex Diaz, nice to see you early. Political Foolishness, thank you. It was Velcro, not Velcro, Velvet. Oh, man, that's just screwing me up now. Screwing me up. Yeah, make sure you guys all get a chance to hop on in. Thanks, Paramar, for posting that. Hop in on into Barry Littleton's channel and hit subscribe. Brienne, how are you? I think I'm going to end up going back to my headsets here, my headphones. Dave Scott, how do you fit all of them in the Speedos? What's your secret? Tuck rule. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I don't wear Speedos. I'm a boxer short guy. Let's go to Barry Littleton's channel here. Hold on. What's he at? And he's got 13,500 subscribers. He needs more. He needs more. My friend Corey is sitting right behind here. We call him Corey Squirrel Nuts. Everybody in the chat room, if you don't mind, say hi, Corey Squirrel Nuts. That's Corey EY. Corey EY Squirrel Nuts. Hey, Barry, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. What's happening?
Trying to drum everybody up to run to your channel and hit subscribe right now.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Quiche for dinner. Quiche is like a breakfast food. So, Deb, we don't do breakfast for dinner. All right. Big thank you tonight to W. David Page, Mama Catherine, and Deb ×2 for the great super chats. All right. See, everybody's saying... All right. Uh-huh. We got 10 seconds. Don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out.
Okay, I thought we were live right now. Okay. I thought we were live. Okay, I was like, man, he's talking about some weird stuff.
Here we go. Second half hour, Spaced Out Radio tonight. UFO alien abduction with Barry Littleton continues right after this. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for joining us, as we really do appreciate our listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can check us out on every major podcast network as well. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Barry Littleton is here, experiencer extraordinaire, researcher extraordinaire. Just type in Barry Littleton on YouTube. You'll go right to his channel where you must hit subscribe, because he is that damn good when it comes to everything from the esoterics to the Fortean. It's one of my favorites. Barry, welcome back.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so I was telling you the story about the abduction my father and I had. And I was telling you right before the break how I went to the bathroom and I was freezing cold, like shivering cold. And it was so cold I couldn't stop my teeth from chattering. So I quickly hopped in the shower and warmed up, went back to bed. Woke up the next morning, dude. I was absolutely emotional because I'd been having some health issues that I had kept quiet. And my chest, which was hurting right by the heart a few days previous, was now ice cold. In one spot, just ice cold. And it felt like I had been healed or something happened to my chest. And I felt like I could breathe easier. Everything just seemed easier. There was no more pain. And so I actually broke down over that a little bit because I knew something had happened that night. I knew. So I call up my dad on my way to my daytime job. And I said to him, I said, "Hey, Dad," I said, "How'd you sleep last night?" And he goes, "Well, I woke up a couple of times, but not too bad, actually." I said, "What time did you wake up?" And he goes, "Well, I woke up at 7:15 this morning." I said, No. In the middle of the night, what time did you wake up?" He goes, "Oh, it was just after 2:00 in the morning." I said, "What, 2:05, 2:10? He goes, "Yeah, around there." Well, I'd woken up at 2:09. And I said, "What woke you up?" He goes, "It was the strangest thing. I heard this bang on my floor, like something had dropped onto my floor." And remember, I had dropped the cell phone right before the gravitational pull. So I said, "Did you find anything?" He goes, "No, I couldn't find anything. It was weird." I said, "Well, why did you get up?" He goes, "I was cold." He goes, "I woke up and I was shivering. So I went and got another blanket and then went back to bed." I said, "How do you feel this morning, Dad?" And he goes, my dad is starting to suffer from COPD because he was like a 60-year smoker. And he's just on the beginning of COPD. And he goes, "Son," he goes, "this is the first morning in a couple of years that I can remember not waking up coughing and wheezing. I feel great this morning." So they did something to his chest too. Now, my dad lives 4.5 hours away from me. And the coincidence on what he experienced compared to what I experienced is pretty phenomenal, Barry.
You know, what that reminds me of? This book, UFO Healings by Preston Dennett. You know,
Yes.
this book changed my life about 1996 when I read it. I got a copy of this, and it was the first book that almost brought tears to my eyes because it was describing positive encounters. And that's what I had was positive encounters. And you know, I'd seen, and this is one of the encounters or experiences I don't talk about much because it wasn't physical. But I've been on board one of those craft, and there was a room that looked like it was part of the hallway, and it like opens, and then inside that room were these beds and people that looked like they were kind of transparent, laying on these beds. And there's like four of them, and there were these. The one I could see that was closest had this like it looked like these rods, like similar to what I've seen these Andromedan creatures holding, these rods with these crystals on the end of them that look similar to what our science right now calls quasi crystals, the ones that are starting to grow with these weird lattices on them. But it's emitting a light, a type of a light that looks like almost silk, and the silk is going down towards these transparent people. I know it's some type of a healing going on, you know, and I guess healing occurs, you know, in all sorts of different ways. It can be done because some, you know, when you start getting in some of those advanced Toltec studies and things like that, or like Castaneda, you know, they were talking a lot about actually ways to materialize the dream body, not just change your full cognitive abilities into the dream body, but also to manifest it here in the third dimension. It doesn't, of course, you know, like I said earlier, it doesn't correspond to all the physical laws we have here, but it can be manifesting for us that suffer from cognitive dissonance and cognitive bias also. We will turn something like that into, you know, a person, something we can understand. For example, like as Mr. Carlos Castaneda, he had two teachers. One was Don Juan and the other one, Mattis, and the other one was Genaro, Don Genaro. And Genaro used to make Castaneda frequently lose control of his bowels. And he was scared of Genaro because every time Genaro showed up, his eyes were really shining, and he would start doing things like jumping around, jumping jumping around on a waterfall, defying gravity, and things would make Castaneda start losing control of his bowels, and they start laughing at him. You know, and later on, his teacher tells him, if you could, he said, you have configuration to see, but you can't really see. If you could see, you would have saw that Don Genaro, it was his dream body, but you couldn't see him as an energy spear. So you could only see him as a person jumping around, and you couldn't handle it. So that's just food for thought. You know what I mean? Especially when you deal with those people or beings that show up and they look like they're wearing different things to different people. You know what I mean? You got a group of 5 people, but everybody sees this person and this thing wearing something different.
How many beings have you seen? How many different beings?
Quite a few, man. Quite a few. I haven't counted the actual number. One would be the first when I was a child. It was an insectoid type being. And this being would come around in my day life, and it had played with me a few times and talked to me, and my brother had seen it, but nobody thought that this was a giant grasshopper looking being. No one thought that. Neither did I at that time, because he's got on these like what my mother used to call kitty cats and a baseball cap. And in that way, you know, but it says a lot. I've mentioned this before, what these beings can do to us on the conscious level through the optic nerves. They can project to us something that they're not. And it gets really dangerous when you start dealing with virtual reality, because I've been around some of these beings that, you know, they can project a different environment to you and you think you're there. It's like almost, you know what I mean? And then things of that nature, we got to be really careful. Anyway, that's one, an insectoid being. Another is this being, God, I can't have that right-handed. Mana is another one. And Mana is a being that, you know, when I first came forward in 2014, I got more responses when I showed an illustration of Mana than almost any other being. And Mana looks to be about a little 7 feet tall, over 7 feet. And this being has what looks like a brain reverse brain on the outside, but harder texture. And when I finally figured out, because I started wondering why some of these beings would interact with me when I was young, and then they step back, and then others would come forward, or all the experiences started changing from being on these ships to being much more telethought. They're saying that was easier, but when I was younger, I only responded to the ships. Anyway, Mana's another one, and Mana, when I was wondering that, one night I started having dreams about this being, like flashes, and I wake up, and it's just in my head. Coral bleaching. I didn't even know what the heck that was, Dave. Okay, I'm not a marine biologist. All right, and that led me to actually brain coral and not just the coral reef, but brain coral itself. And when you look at brain coral, it looks a lot like Mana's head. Okay. And this took me into what actually is the bleaching of the coral reef and how that's so bad for our planet and how that's happening. And that also took me into something else that's super coral, a coral that they're making now that is resistant. They're breeding that is resistant to the bleaching effect. Okay. And this started making me wonder, like, why are these beings not just interacting with me, but what's their connection with the earth? So when it comes to being like Mana, God, I'm sorry I don't have a picture of him right here. I would just show everybody. Here's one. This is a different illustration, but this being right, that's one I've seen right there. That's an Andromedan. The blue one, but the taller one there, that is Mana. Okay, and I've been on board a craft where there are other beings that look similar, but they were much shorter than me. Okay, and they were phased out. But when I interacted with this being Mana, it's as physical as me and you. Okay, so that's one of those instances. That's one of them. The little blue guys is another, and that's the experience I had. And they are putting in my mind that they're Andromedans. Every being in that room, except for Mana, was in that room too. Were saying that they were from Andromeda, and we're putting in my head like, it's a spiral, it's a galaxy. So we say we say beings are Andromedan. Well, what does that mean? That's like saying, I'm a Milky Wayan. Well, what does that mean? Well, from where in the Milky Way? That's not. It's a big place, Yeah, I'm a Milky Wayan. Anyway. But they were putting in my mind from one of the spirals. Okay, one of the lower spirals there. And then they're showing me something that looks like Magellanic clouds and saying that those are actually portals that they can go into, and then they emerge, and they're showing me an exit aperture outside of Jupiter. Okay. So when I hear experiencers talk about there's portals around Jupiter, I take it real serious, and they were telling me how they can actually come through those physically. They don't need ships. But some of them can actually come through physically, but it's so dangerous here in terms of density. So that's going to be a volume type of a thing. It's very dangerous for them here, and they can get trapped. They're like fish out of water when they come into this solar system in particular. So, these are things for us to just think of, how we don't understand space, how really to traverse space. We start thinking of things, Dave, like warp drives. And we need to start thinking a little further in this contact experience. Like, there's something called the Fermi paradox. That has to do with the Fermi bubbles. And, when you look at really Fermi bubbles they're that gamma ray bubble above every galaxy, and they're all connected. So if you had something like a warp drive per se, it's called Alcubierre warp drive, which is where the ship uses a plasma beam to contract the space in front of it and then wraps the space around the vessel itself, and then uses that for instantaneously transport. If you start taking that to the level of Fermi bubbles and gamma radiation, you got a whole nother network out there going, but we don't hear about that. We're too worried about just strictly all the negative encounters and things, instead of some of the science that goes behind this that can maybe help our civilization. I think that's why a lot of us is having this contact, not just to help hybrids from other dimensions and other place, but also to help us technologically to come forward. We've got so many different beings here. It's a little burnout sometimes to just hear all the Pleiadians, all the Arcturians, all the
Right?
Lyrans. Hey, that's cool, but man, that's like our neighbor, our local neighborhood. What's going on in my neighborhood here has nothing to do with what's happening in Indonesia. You know what I'm saying? And we've got complete other places and a galactic type of contact going on that we don't hear about. Not enough anyway. A lot of us are seeing, when I was, especially when I was younger and I started, when the internet really started coming around, even before that, I was constantly looking for beings that looked like the ones I had interacted with. I couldn't find them. I could see some grays real quick, even some reptilians, but I couldn't see any of the beings like I had interacted with. And then to make it worse, you never saw any melanated extraterrestrials. It's always Fabio and Christy Brinkley and these beings that look like that. And so that was distressing. Then I didn't see any contactees that looked like me either. Sorry, but that sucked. I was being honest, man, but so what I like right now, being on here and doing these shows and talking to people, it's given at least a platform to where it helps change things something. So many of us are talking now, so much information, different races, different cultures. That's where it's at. That's what Gene Roddenberry was trying to show us in the original Star Trek. Type 1 civilization, man.
Oh, very
Anyway,
true.
Sorry, I'm going on some sort of weird Arsenio Hall tangent.
You had me pegged right along, my friend. And that's what I love about you, Barry, is when you go off on these tangents, man, it's filled with information. I love it.
Oh, thanks, man. I did my first lives a few weeks ago. I couldn't believe. I was sure nobody would be there. I was like, if I could just get 10 people in here, that'd be really cool. But there's more people in there than that. So I was really shocked. So it was cool. I was listen up there and talk to myself and ramble on nervously. That's what it really was. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Show, my man, that when you speak, people listen and they want to hear you speak.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
And it also helps too that you're a pretty good dude. Hey, I want to ask you, there was more UFO hearings earlier today with Senator Kristen Gillibrand, and they were trying to get to the bottom of the AARO program with the new leader of AARO. And they were trying to figure out what was going on. Where's all this money going to? Why are we spending money on UFO or UAP research when we don't believe there's a UAP problem? And it got a little heated today, man. Because they just don't even seem to know what they're looking for, in my opinion. And one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was the fact that she brought up that she wants an amendment to the defense budget coming up, that any UAP incursion over military airspace or American airspace can be shot down effective immediately, like a shoot to kill program. What's your thoughts on that?
I think, you ever heard of the double bluff? They've been doing that for a long time. Even if I was looking for some type of evidence, I would go back to that document that I've seen Linda Moulton Howe show it the most, the one that was given to Reagan about the different beings, and especially the ones that they called actually those insectoid, the trantiloids. I just got attacked for that the other day for even talking about that. And nobody could find out what they actually look like. They're supposed to be from Epsilon Eridani, but they're extremely hostile. So in that way, and we start dealing with these different type of technologies that are dealing like scalar weapons and something that they called, what is it? The interferometer, the Howitzer interferometer. It's actually basically like a type of almost like the Star Wars program, but it can create a shield, but also shoot things down from orbit. And you start dealing with these new technologies that they're using, these supersonic technologies and these new sound technologies and things that can maybe disrupt some of these craft that are more the nut and bolts ones from those civilizations. And how much of that is staged anyway. We got that too. You know what I mean? It seems that they're just showing us things that they're already doing. So that's all right. We're seeing that transparency, I guess. That's better than I'm hearing there's going to be a hearing and they're showing the TikTok UFO. Anything beats that, But it's interesting. I think that's things coming to the forefront. Jessica had mentioned on her show the other day, she's like she's been watching it, getting pretty deep in it. And the things they were saying about undersea bases and aquatics, very fascinating there. And there was speaking of this gentleman again, Preston Denny, he's written a lot of books. He's probably written one of the best books I've seen over USOs and underwater bases. And I mean, he does it by cases, a bunch of cases in there, places where you're seeing a lot of these USOs, like Catalina Island or Palos Verdes, or these places like that. So, and that's the perfect place to hide yourself on this planet. It wouldn't just be Antarctica; it would be the sea. And let alone if you are a seafaring species from wherever, and I was mentioning yesterday, like when you look at really the doggone, and what they say is when the doggone say the Nomo, which were fish type beings, when they came down, amphibious, when they came down, their ship went immediately down in the water. And then they're actually creating water in another place. And then they started emerging after that. So I mean, that's kind of just things we need to look at, the type of contact that we're having. You know what I mean, Dave? You remember the NASA tether incident?
NASA tether incident. Remind me of that one.
It was like the tether that had broke loose from the station or from one of the shuttles or something. And when they're looking at it, it looks like it's got all these balls, these orb type of things going around it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
When you start looking at that and looking in work like from oh gosh, what's that gentleman's name? I should know that. Anyway, he talks about the cosmic ball, snowball theory, and how that also is how you get also some habitation happens on planets. Actually, you got these cosmic balls that come down and have the parts of life. And he was even saying that that's what we're also seeing shooting out sometimes. I personally believe that when you see that UFO moving, I believe that thing shooting out, that's one of those defense weapons that we're talking about right there, that is dodging, But anyway, this cosmic snowball theory, when you're looking at that and kind of comparing that, if we're talking about aquatic species, all right, the Nomo said they would also be back. They would come back. And when you're looking at what type of a craft would a species have that came from a true water world, is that what we're seeing with that NASA tether incident? Because if you look at this, those look like organisms, almost some type of like the way microorganisms look, and we look in pond water, they look a lot like that. And that takes us all into the things that are cosmic critters, what they're called, or the term energy zoa. And energy zoa, they look like, when you look at it and see though, they're look like amoebas and things like that. I didn't know about that. When I was a teenager, I started building those cloud busters. I was following Trevor Constable's work, and he was showing people how to build those cloud busters. So I built a couple of them. It's real simple. And it was fine, a lot of fun, until I started trying to bust nimbus clouds. And then I started not feeling good sometimes, And I wound up finding out about these potential problems that happen with these machines collecting what's called DOR, deadly orgone radiation. And that's what actually holds nimbus clouds together. And when I this is still the day of Polaroid, we still had like the snaps with the flash on it. I got Polaroid and used infrared film and an ultraviolet filter and started taking pictures around that cloud buster. And I started seeing these things that looked like coming up on the film that looked like not just UFOs, but like a type of amoeba or some type of one cellular organisms. And they're feeding on that DOR that's trapped in that machine. I didn't know as much as I thought I knew. I didn't know the water source you're supposed to have is running. I just had a bucket. So it was collecting that stuff.
You can hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. The live and in charge, Barry Littleton, our guest on Spaced Out Radio tonight. One of the best. We'll continue with hour 2 next. This is is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, my man, we are clear. We got about 6 minutes. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to put you back in the green room. I'll be right back.
Okay, see you in a minute, man. Right on.
All right, man. Love that guy. Yeah. Sleepy? Yeah. Starting to. Sorry. Let's sit in. All right. I am back. Let's bring Barry back in here. Good morning, Commonwealth Andrew. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. All right, who else is here? Polly, good morning to you. And anybody else? No, I think we're caught up. Thank you for doing this tonight, Barry. Appreciate you.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. My pleasure. It's been a lot of fun. I should remember that guy's name that wrote that book, Cosmic Snowballs. I just can't think of it. I want to say David Adair. It's not David Adair.
No, it wouldn't have been him. Contrary One, Mike Bothwell, how you doing? Want to say a big thank you to W. David Page, Mama Catherine, Deborah Rooney ×2 for the great super chats tonight. We really appreciate the love and support. Don't forget, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out, and you'll be proud to wear our stuff out in public. That is for sure. Here we go in 5 seconds, everybody. Here we go with the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet. Hello to everyone on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What is this? Xenodokium. Xenodokium is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Here's our good friend, Barry Littleton. He is talking all things weird and strange about UFOs, alien contact. We're going to get into some telepathy later on this hour. Barry, welcome back.
Oh, thank you.
Do me a favor. Tell our audience where they can find all of your work.
Oh, thank you. You can find a lot of my stuff on YouTube, just under Barry Littleton. I'm on Patreon too, under Barry Littleton. I'm probably going to be shutting that one down soon, but I've got a lot of stuff on YouTube. Please come join. Hit the subscribe. Please check out the playlist. There's about almost 400 videos on there. And also my email is barrylittleton13@gmail.com. I do a lot of services, hypnosis of all sorts of different types, and also do readings as well. So,
well, that is awesome, man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Right before the break, we were talking about underwater UFOs, and you were getting into clouds and everything on how they hide. What is your belief? Where do you think they're hiding these USOs?
You mean do you mean humans that are back engineering them, or the ones that are here from somewhere else?
Where's the aliens themselves hiding?
Well, I can tell you what I can only speak from what I've experienced. It is that you have, on some of these craft, you have these black cubes and these things that are actually more of inertial dampeners. And often you will see these craft that are kind of hovering over bodies of water. And what they will do is they're actually sucking up that water, that prana energy, that orgone energy from the water. And then there's like a conversion process they do is they polarize that into a type of like living light almost. And then they will take that, they store it in those black boxes and other things, but then they release the actually, like, let's say it can be that energy, that life force can be used, excuse me, as actually gravity modification fields. I don't want to say anti-gravity because it's really gravity modification. And then they'll actually send that around the skin of the craft, okay, so that they can do like a frequency jump or something of that nature. Now the thing is, when they do this conversion process, with the water and the prana and the life energy they're taking out of it, it creates a byproduct of this type of a mist. And they use that mist for cloaking also. Thus, it looks like a type of lenticular cloud a lot of times. And when you see all these lenticular clouds are not all natural formations. And especially if you see a smaller cloud and it's got these little rainbow stripes in it, just one cloud that has that, pay attention to that cloud. Because you can do things, you can actually dissipate clouds with the radiation from your eyes. People that know how to do that with gazing techniques, dissipate that cloud and watch something take off out of it. See, so that's one way I do that. And I'm hearing more people talking now. And what's really odd, Dave, is it came out of the Bigfoot circles. I'm hearing it is that people are saying in some of these marshes when they're looking for swamp apes and things, they're finding these patches of grass that's twirled and swirled, almost like crop circle type of a way. Okay, which is a whole nother different, very interesting type of phenomenon too. But around where they're finding these things, they're finding that the water has lowered in these places. Sometimes it'll be a really small pond or water hole that's almost dried up after one of those UFOs have been there. So that's another example of that. Some of them that are using water for a type of conversion for a power source. And then you've got another deal where sometimes the crew is giving their own DNA and their own life force, their own chi, their own prana to be in symbiotic connection with the craft too. And it's also a power source too. So, it varies.
I want to get into some telepathy with you because there's a recent study going on that just started taking a lot of shape yesterday with this collection of podcasts called the Telepathy tapes. And one of the studies done was with autistic children who are nonverbal. And they believe with the study that the way these nonverbal autistic children are connecting with their parents is through telepathy. And this has opened up a real whirlwind with a lot of people in the scientific community and the research community right off the bat. As Grant Cameron talked with a lady named Kai Dickens about this recently. What's your thoughts on telepathy and communication?
One would be with those regarding those kids. We've got the technology now. They should be looking at PET scans of the brain activity, especially the pituitary area of these kids. How active is the pituitary gland? And that goes into a whole nother thing. When you really look at the pituitary gland, how it's shaped, it looks amazingly like the Eye of Horus. So that's something I think just needs to be evaluated a little bit more. As far as telepathy, I've experienced that. Most of the beings I've dealt with, they're telepaths. But I think that's almost not the right word. I prefer the word telethought, because not just information, sometimes feelings comes with it, and these pictures, not just always words or something. You know what I mean? Feelings and pictures, that comes a lot too. So, but I think that we're all capable of that to a degree. Some of us more or less degrees of power with it. And it's a shame because, that's one of our gifts that has been purposely sequestered, because the whole world would be different if we were using telepathy as our number one communication. You wouldn't be able to hide from people as much. You wouldn't be able to hide those negative thoughts as much. Whole other thing, there's a reason why that's been shut off. Haven't you ever wondered why humans are not magical, why we're not magical beings? We have this much cognitive ability. We have this much spiritual capacity. We should be magical beings, but we're not. We're very bestial. Why? Because we got predators here, man. Predators that have given us their mind, and also we're their food. A lot of people can't accept that. They think because these things we have two worlds here on Earth. We have this Earth that is got beings with consciousness and organism. And then you've got the other Earth, the twin Earth, okay, that is right here with us, that is actually got beings with awareness and consciousness and no organism. Thus, you call them inorganic beings. And a lot of them are negative, and a lot of them are feeding on us, and they know us. Hell, man, they've given us our religions. This stuff is real serious. Anyway, sorry, I don't want to go out off
No,
topic.
I
You want
think
to know
you're
about cloaking craft? I'm talking about demons disguising themselves.
no, the fact is, overall is we don't understand the power of the mind because it's not on Facebook, it's not on YouTube, it's not on social media or television shows or Netflix specials. We've forgotten how brilliant our brain actually is, and we don't know how to tap in because we've been told that doing things like that is taboo or doesn't exist, and we believe that without even researching it. But now we're starting to learn, whether it's telepathy, whether it's reincarnation or something else out there, that there are other mysteries that the brain is holding that we need to unlock.
When you're dealing with something like autism, it takes us into neuroplasticity. And when I had my personal near-death experience, I had a really bad car accident, and I took 4 catastrophic traumatic brain injuries, each that should have probably killed me. Okay, and I started to find out more. The doctor started telling me, "You're a good example of neuroplasticity." What the hell is that? So to figure out what that is, and when certain things happen, that how you get different abilities, how the brain stretches and uses different neurons and things to make sure you can recover or to process information or whatever it might be. That's very serious. And when dealing with like autism, there was a gentleman. I don't think it wasn't Scott. Somebody in your audience would know. It wasn't Scott Carpenter. It was somebody else that wrote a book, Chris something, but he wrote a book over comparing Sasquatch with autistic people and using actually their patterns that they're using. And if you've worked with every autistic person, you know that they have these patterns and things that are very interesting. It's very important to them. And this gentleman was comparing some of the structures, the sticks, and also the rocks and some of the things they're doing and their way of communication being similar to an autistic type of brain. He was very interesting, the points he was bringing up. Sorry, I can't remember his exact name. Somebody in your audience will know.
Brown Dwarf says it's Christopher Noel Berry.
Okay, Noel? Right. Yes. His name was Chris. Thank you, Brown Dwarf. By the way, brother, I emailed you back like 2 days ago. He's a good cat.
So when you look at the entire aspect of the telepathic mind, do you think we are on the precipice of opening up a brand new yet ancient way of communication?
I would say yes, and it's going to be the young people that bring it in. A lot of them that are born with past life memories intact, and so that way, when you get that type, a higher consciousness almost coming in, and you have people that slip into alpha a lot more because you're doing things like telethought, telepathy. That's happening when people drift into almost alpha state. You know what I mean? And things of that nature. We're starting to have people now that are more in that and more dealing with that, even able to access theta when they're walking around normal like you and I. They're on a different level. You know what I mean? I think that's what's happening right now. So telepathy, I say, yeah. And, I always find it interesting, especially I used to do this a little bit more when I was younger, when you see one of those babies and you can just sense them and you think something to them like, hey, can you hear me? Hello. And they'll look at you and then look at you like, who in the HE double hockey sticks are you to think to me? Or a kid that can do it, maybe especially seems like it starts fading around the age of 5 and 6, like we get molded out of it. But before that, we're still highly telepathic, and you can just sense some of those kids that have it, and you think to them something, and you turn and look at you, and they're picking it up. You know what I mean? In that way, but they look at you like you're crazy because most people don't do it anymore. As a telepath, when I was a child, I thought everybody could do it. But I found out later they couldn't. So when I have this being that's approached me that I thought was a kid playing with me, but he's a telepath. He's speaking to me telepathically. But I figured like probably everybody can do it. They just don't. Not the case. Maybe everybody can do it, but they definitely don't.
That is for sure. That's completely for sure. Do you think then that animals are using telepathic communication?
Yes. Yes. You know, I think it's on a different level than we know it. You know, like I was telling somebody today, I was over at a friend's house and they have like, man, brother, they got like 6 dogs and 3 cats. It's wow, man. Okay. And some of them kind of feel a little bit, you can see them communicating amongst themselves, and some of them can communicate with me to a degree. You know, I don't want to say I'm like an animal whisperer, but I have that ability to communicate with animals too in some type of a way. And it's interesting because when you use that technique, for me, it works best when I see them looking at me through their eyes and start communicating like that. It seems to work a lot more effective. And you notice something else about telepathy, those of us that have really tried to practice it, it works much better at night when the solar radiation is lower. Peep that out. Sorry, did
That
that
is
answer your question, Dave, or was I just talking about something
no,
else?
I think it does, because I believe animals can telepathically communicate
Yeah,
as well, on a different level. I mean, the
yeah.
way that they have incredible intuition, their hearing is incredible, their senses are way different. It doesn't matter whether it's a dog or a house cat or a wild animal. Their senses are more heightened than we can even comprehend when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
noise, when it comes to everything.
Yeah.
But I do believe that there is some sort of communication that goes on between them.
Think
And
about, cats are a word like cats. Like, you remember the movie Ghost? Remember when she was about to get attacked by that brother was in his house? He went up to the cat and he was like, and the cat, oh, I have no doubt that they can see spirits, and dogs too. And dogs are interesting because, man, dogs have to be some of the most happy creatures on earth. When you see your dog, they're happy to see you almost no matter what, unless you're just a horrible person. I mean, they're happy. I mean, they're joyous beings. And I think that's on account that their lifespan is so short. Every day counts for them. So anyway, sorry, but yeah. Um, I would say, when looking at some of those people that are quote unquote intense pet whisperers, animal whisperers, they're picking that up from somewhere, and that communication is quite clear that they're doing. That's on a different level than I do it, but I mean, I have no doubt of that. And there's that connection and just that feeling. And we got to remember, Dave, we're energy beings, really, really, we're energy beings. And that means that we're made of feelings. We're all about feelings, and feelings are invisible. You mentioned the brain earlier. And one of the things they don't tell us right about the brain is that the brain takes pictures. The brain takes pictures and feeds it to the soul, to the spirit. It's the spirit that generates the feelings that are invisible. Just like some of these forces that are predators against us, they're invisible. Like the voices some of us hear in our heads that say horrible things, they're invisible. That really needs to be paid attention to. Energy that is invisible. We're energy beings, period.
I would agree with you on that. What do you think the one thing we are missing in humanity right now? What do you think we're missing, communication wise or spiritually? What what's maybe your top three? I don't know.
I was say, how long we got, man? I said, let's start with compassion. That would be number one. I think compassion and love it's not all humanity, but let's face it, we've got these people that are incarnating right now, and I hear them getting called different things. Sometimes they're called NPCs, sometimes they're called backdrop people, sometimes they're, all these different things. But the truth is, whatever they are, a lot of them incarnate just like you and I, like your audience, and they can't love. There's something wrong. They're quite capable of hate and treachery, but they can't love. It's like they don't have the capacity to do it. Like they're almost Vulcan, like beyond Vulcan. That I use a logic. They just can't feel. And that's a major problem right now. Those that don't love, those are the people that are destroying the biosphere. When we can, for natural gas right now, and we can go to something different now. We're supposed to going forward. The same people that are constantly hurting, those walking around that feel like they're quote unquote perfectly possessed. You ever walk by somebody like that or been in the presence of somebody like that? Somebody practices evil, and they've done that and they've given themselves over to that. They made like some sort of a verbal commitment. Yeah, you get in the presence of one of them, I can detect them immediately. And for me, I can't speak for everybody. Wait, what do you do? I said, I avoid them like the Dickens. I don't want nothing to do with them. But they're all over the place on this planet right now. And that's the major problem right now is a lack of understanding, a lack of compassion for fellow human. And it's not everybody. There's enough people like you and I in the audience here that saved this place that we haven't gone up in flames yet or gone on one of these nuclear war timelines they're always trying to push us to. They're always trying to push us to that timeline. So be aware of the times that we have high solar activity, because you'll see suddenly nuclear war and that stuff starts coming up again. Nuclear activity. You know, I've been long since talking that I believe that the black-eyed children phenomenon was actually a warning system. Not that they were hybrids and all that. I think they were a warning system from a group of children that were from beings that were from a timeline that had witnessed a nuclear disaster. And when I say that, I kind of always compared that to you remember you used to have the Cabbage Patch dolls when you had those garbage pail kids that came out at the same time. And everybody got mad as heck, man. People was mad because they were like all these mutated, melting kids or whatever that were survivors of the nuclear holocaust is what it's supposed to be. And I believe in that way, those black-eyed children represent that. And it's very interesting the people that say they've either touched one or been so close to them, let them inside or whatever the case is. One, they always have on the black hoods and all that. But the way they make the people feel. And the few people said they touched one have gotten sick, a sickness that sounds very much like radiation poisoning. Look into that. And I've said something, goes back, I'm saying this is 2014. I thought that the black-eyed children was a phenomenon that wasn't going to last. It was going to fade out and turn into an urban legend because it was a warning system. And what happens? Do you hear as much about them manifesting, being seen as much as you used to? Not like it was. Not like it was about 10 years ago.
Yeah, where did all the black-eyed kids go, man?
I think vibrational, they weren't here with us. You know, they're not this vibration. Eventually that phased out, but I think it was a warning system, you know, because constantly they're bringing this nuclear war stuff coming up, you know, and it worries me. You see it again and again. And hopefully I think there's enough of us thinking good things that have changed that path. You know, there's this I've got somewhere, that remote viewing guy, Ed Danes, he's had that thing. It's called the kill shot. I can't find it, but it's, you know, and that's this thing that there's going to be a kill shot. The first will be the bow shot, and several things he said that would happen. And some of them started happening, like he predicted UG99, a rust virus coming out of Africa that would attack wheat, and so be deadly. And that did wind up happening. It's called UG99. Didn't get as rapid as what he was saying, but it was something that happened. Talked about one of the space shuttles, a type of space shuttle crashing. Okay, then there would be this bow shot that would knock out some power centers and things, but not as bad. Then the next would come this kill shot that was going to knock out all the power grids on Earth for the span of about 3 years. And during that time, everything would go to total hell, chaos here. You know, and these things like that, and that hasn't happened, but I mean, all these things and these people always this doom deal, doom. It's a deal to try to push us to that timeline. I'm telling you. And we start feeling things like these Mandela effects. Pay very close attention if you're getting Mandela effects a couple of times. Look and see what the solar activity is like. What's the Schumann resonances at?
Hey, man, I get the benefit of those with seeing the Northern Lights after they happen. I'm quite okay with them on a way different scale. Barry, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because hard to believe we're already through an hour and a half of this show. We got Barry Littleton for another 30 minutes. When we return, I want to get into Barry with some talk of dimensions. He brought it up. It's a field that I love to discuss. We'll be right back on Space Out Radio. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. Man, this is flying on by.
Yeah, this is quick. It doesn't seem like it's been that long at all. Wow.
Way too good, my friend. I could talk to you for hours. Hours. Could do a marathon.
Wow, that's cool. Nobody had pretty cool comments in there too. Everyone looked at the chat. That's cool. That's cool. That's real cool.
Chat room's cruising for you tonight.
Wow. Wow, that's really cool. Really cool. Sometimes it's cool because sometimes I go to those conferences, I tell people, you meet me in person, you might be disappointed. You ask me some questions, I just be going, doy, you don't know nothing. You'd be surprised. You know, we did the 80s, doy, and I don't know what, Oh. Man. Oh. Wow. Wow. Wow.
That's good stuff, man.
Interesting. Wow, interesting, man. Wow.
Good stuff.
Wow, that's a trip. It really is. It really is. That's a good
Eloise,
question.
guess our chat.
So that's a good question. Is the Earth a prison planet or are people making things up? That's a great question there, man. Wow. See, that stuff there is totally worthwhile. Totally
Yeah.
worthwhile.
Paul Demon wants to know, what's your favorite football team?
Man, being a TBI survivor, I'm not real into football. So I don't have one, but I guess I would have to say probably just because it's got the name where I stay, the Chiefs, I guess. I'll stay in Kansas City, but I guess the Chiefs, but I don't really have one, to be honest. But, I'm pretty good at football game at picking who's going to win. I'm very rarely wrong. Yeah, normally the mascots kind of tell me. It's real odd.
I'm taking you to Vegas, man. We're gonna go play some.
When I went to Vegas it's been about a year ago. That Stairway to the Stars, and it was really a busy, nice conference. And my brother said, "Hey, man, B," he said, "Man, did you play one slot machine or even one game of blackjack?" I said, "Man, I really didn't have time." He said, "You were staying in a casino." I said, "Man, I don't really like gambling that much, man. I do. I used to do stocks. I do more crypto now. That's enough gambling for me, even with the charts." So it's like, yeah. What a cool crowd. That's awesome.
We got about a minute 20 here.
Okay, right on.
All right. Big thank you to Jennifer, Deb times 2, Mama Catherine, and W. David Page. Appreciate that. Always appreciate the love. Adam Robbins, how you doing? Who else is here? I don't think we're on a prison planet, man.
That's a great question. I think we should talk about that. That's a good question.
Well, let's get into that. We'll get into that right off the bat here. If you only knew, Grandizer, how connected Random Guy was and is. Jeremy Jones, how you doing? Here we go, guys.
Barry, did you call on Fade to Black?
Hold on, Barry.
No.
Here we go, the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Barry Littleton is our guest. Is Earth a prison planet? We're going to find out really soon. But first, I want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Barry Littleton, are we living on a prison planet?
A great group out there. Huh? Somebody said, you calling to Fade to Black, and was it a prank? No, but I've been on Fade to Black about 6 times. As far as this is great comments. I looked over there during the break, and a lot of genius people, and that was one of the questions. That's a great question. I'll be honest. First of all, Dave, I like Doctor Who, and my favorite Doctor Who was Tom Baker, and he had a saying. The saying was that a genius or an intelligent person changes their opinion to fit the facts, and a fool changes the facts to fit their opinion. Now, my opinion was, heck yes, this is a prison planet full of lost souls that are caught in a reincarnation cycle. I felt that based on what I was seeing, the biosphere being destroyed. The entities in control of this planet are just dark as they come. Trauma walks around here like a member of the population. Okay, so I thought, yes, this is a prison planet. And then I started really doing the work, more of the regression work, a lot more of it. And I do a couple of different modalities. So one can be an informational, or another one can be a trauma release, or there's another that's life between lives. And when I started doing these, I started finding some things out, especially that when people will go to the life they just had before this one, often it's on Earth. You know what I mean? And in every scenario I've done, and every regression I've done, when this soul is about to reincarnate, whether it's Earth or somewhere else, every time it has been their choice. And I ask, well, these people, I say, are you being forced? And they almost act like I'm asking a stupid question. No. Well, is your guide making you go over there, making you incarnate over there? No. Is the light making you incarnate there? No. It's my choice. I mean, I've heard that again and again and again. That becomes data. That means I have to change my opinion that this is a prison planet to it is not. But I'll tell you what it is. This is the school of hard knocks. It's the school of hard knocks where you can mess up, you come back again and again to get it right. So I would call this more a school of hard knocks than I would a prison planet. And I can't say it's every time, but for me and all the ones I've done, which has been a lot now, I've yet to find anybody say they're forced to incarnate anywhere. And that takes us into that other alley. We'll just touch on this real quick about soul traps and things when you die. And these people misleading people, oh, when you die, don't go to the light. You're going to be trapped in a reincarnation cycle. And they have nothing to back up what they're saying. They've not worked with Earthbound spirit population. They're not mediums. They haven't had a near-death experience. But maybe they're like a remote viewer. And they're remote viewed and they said it's a soul trap. This institute said it or whatever. I gave the light to our friend as a blind target. She never knows what she's looking at. How come she didn't see this soul trap? How come she's talking about infinity, and stars and infinity, kept saying that? Why? Well, where's the soul trap? See, we got to be very careful of the information that we get, period. And the thing about our deaths and the little unwritten clause in it is that we can still maintain our life memories afterwards. There's a book I got here, this one, Mind of God by Ray Hernandez and the CCRI Foundation. All those academics that did this, and the other book too. And they're talking a lot about this mind of God is actually a repository that we go back to at death that actually takes our life memories and then we incarnate. I've seen something similar, okay? A place to where there's this place I call a place of translation and reconfiguration, a place the soul goes to between lives, okay? And at that place, they start going over the life that they just died from. And it can be a lot of things. A lot of times this place could be like a library, or it could be an office where there'll be ledgers and the guide will show them the ledgers. It can be a nature spot where there's a pond or a lake and there's pictures coming out that they're seeing. And what they're feeling is that their life choices and the intent behind them and how they affected others. When I died, people asked me a lot of questions like, hey, what'd you see? What'd you see? And I say, it's not as cool as the stuff you see on TV. But I will tell you this, being somebody who thought that I really lived by the golden rule and was somewhat spiritual, I don't know how old you are, Dave, but when I was a kid, I was coming home, like G.I. Joe and them, they were talking about, the golden rule and all those shows. And I thought, after school special. So I try to kind of live up to that. Do unto others like you want to be done. But then, when I died, and even by living by that, when I died and then experienced this, what a lot of the field will call panoramic life review, your life in front of your eyes flash before your life, and you feel everything. Okay. And you feel the pain you've given people. You feel the love you've given people. I will kind of correlate that with the Bardo Thodol, also known as the Tibetan Book of the Dead. When it talks about the first parts of death, how the first thing you encounter is all the negativity you put out to others. It comes back a millionfold. And that's enough to have some souls reincarnate on earth or somewhere even lower. Okay. And then you have the second part that is this bliss that you can get. All the love you put out comes back a millionfold. And that's been also said it can be also a stagnation point because you get blissed out by all the love and all the stuff, and you stop trying to get directly to the creator. You kind of get blissed out. And the book that I had kind of put it as like these gods on this beach, the most beautiful beach you've ever seen, with everything they ever wanted that could be brought to them. So why leave? Why do anything? I kind of correlate that with Star Trek Voyager when they had the episode that had a Q that wanted to kill itself because they took it to the continuum. They said, what's this? This is the continuum? It's a gas station with a real long road and a dog and all this stuff. And they said, well, man, we've been everything at the gas station. Well, what's this road? It's the cosmos. It goes backwards and forwards. And we've done everything. We've been everything on the road everywhere. There's nothing left. So, that's the things we did. And as immortal souls, be aware. As immortal souls, what's one of our major adversaries? It's boredom.
Oh, very true.
And if you know the end of every possible quantum outcome, quantum whatever, where's anything left? It's boredom going to be there. And at a certain point, what do we have to do but to trick ourselves into forgetting everything so that we can learn again and learn things? That's part of what this repository of God is. I mentioned Carlos Castaneda earlier. I did a video probably a month or two ago, and it was called The Mind of God and the Eagle. Carlos Castaneda, his teacher, told him that the universe was shaped like an eagle, and that when we die, we go into the beak of the eagle, and the beak of the eagle is actually this void that spreads our awareness and also devours our life memories, wiping us clean. A lot like what Ray and them are saying, the academics are saying the mind of God is. So there are techniques you can do to kind of make a recapitulation and take the energy back that you have left in everything you've done. And then actually, when you go through that process, the death process takes that recap and leaves your soul memories intact. And when you incarnate, you're like someone like Paramahansa Yogananda. If you've read the autobiography of Yogi, he talks about a lot how he was a child and he was aware in the womb. And then when he was born, he was trying to tell them who he was, what he came from, but he was just wham, nothing come out with all this crying. So he had to wait for his body to catch up to speaking. Very interesting. I've talked to some people like that now, and I think that's what's happening. A lot of kids being born like that right now. Anyway, sorry, you saying something.
Getting back to the prison planet, I think in my mind, I look at this planet as godly. I really do. I look at it and I think it's perfect. Never mind the BS that we have to deal with on a daily basis, whether it's politics, whether it's the threat of nuclear war, whether it's pollution or by God, those horrible people who watch soccer. Okay. You know, we got a lot of issues on this planet. Those people who eat breakfast foods for dinner, they're all trouble too. Okay. I don't think, though, that the people who are saying we live on a prison planet have really taken the time to go see how beautiful and how healing Mother Nature is. You know, I'll go for a drive. I can drive 15 minutes, Barry, and I'm out in the depths of the forest where I'm not going to see another person all day long. And when I go there, I could go for a 2-hour drive in the forest, and I feel like I just worked a 12-hour day because I am so exhausted from a 2-hour drive and letting Mother Nature just take everything out of me, the stress, the angst, the anxiety, the depression, take it all out of me, that I am literally trying to fathom how that is bad, because I don't see it as bad. I think it's the people who live in the concrete jungles, the keyboard warriors, the people who read every conspiracy book out there and believe every single word, that even Paul McCartney is dead, you know. They are,
I had to Google it. you know, Dave.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, I was pretty much done. Please, I'd love your answer.
You know, something you were saying there, and the truth is, one of the best therapies, whether it's for trauma or anything, it is beauty, true beauty. And to a large degree, happiness is a choice. It's many things, but it's also a choice. And beauty is what you're describing there. It's wonderful. It's healing. Beauty can be very healing, especially in nature, And I think that's things that we don't take enough time to really appreciate. We spend so much time worrying about the future, paranoid about that, which has not happened yet. And then we have so much time we worry about the past. We carry negative identities, negative self with us. Okay, we're so worried about the past and things that have happened and the future that we don't take the time to appreciate the present, the right here and now. It's a gift. That's why they call it the present.
Well,
and right now, and that's important.
May I please add something to that? Because you just kind of triggered it in me. I think where people figure that we are prisoners, it's because we are prisoners to our lives. The minute we have a full-time job, the minute we are paying an overtly amount of taxes, the minute we have a family, the minute we have debt, whether it's a mortgage or a student loan or medical bills, that's what becomes the prison. Because I know at 51 years old, I have never been outside of North America. Do I feel like I'm a prisoner? No, I don't. Because there are places around North America that I love to visit, because I love to drive. As much as I love flying, I love to drive because I love to take the scenic routes. I don't like taking the direct route. I like taking the scenic routes so I can enjoy what it is. And if I see a fruit stand or I see a little eclectic diner on the side of the road, I can pull over and I can enjoy it. right? And I don't know if I'll ever leave North America. I don't have to for me. But I think what makes people think this is a prison planet isn't the spiritual aspect of it, but it's more so the fact that they are bogged down with life's responsibilities. Because if you have children, you have to provide a home, you have to provide school clothing, diapers, education, you have to provide a car, sports, whatever.
Discipline.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
if I was a
And
hoarder, if I
and
was a hoarder of my money, I could probably do it, but I'm not.
so much of our energy goes into that. What is quote unquote called the right side of awareness. Not even just the right brain, but the right side of awareness, which is more the total, which is where we are now, keeping this maintained, paying your bills, doing all this. Lord, it's dangerous here. You could just go out here and get smacked by a car. I mean, you just die here anytime. The bodies are not suited for this atmosphere at its place at all. So, I mean, you've got all these problems, okay? And that really, really kind of burdens one a lot, to where so much of that energy is gone to sustaining this, that when we fall asleep and things like that, we have very little free energy left for things that happen on the left side of awareness, which is where dreaming is, where death is, where unconsciousness is, where different levels of reality and consciousness are. It's on the left side. And that's why when we fall asleep, a lot of us are just out, because there's not enough free energy to really have dream attention, unless you're just a gifted dreamer and you're born like that. You got the gift, you got the dreamers, and you got like the gatherers of awareness. Somebody like me, I have to gather energy by doing things here in this world that aren't normal, things that like don't have routines. I used to have a very old friend used to say, magical animals, a truly magical animal is an animal that has no routines. And such animal will never be trapped by hunters. And thus, a magical person is a person that has no routines. And these little things like that gives you food for thought. You know what I mean?
Hugely, hugely. Let's get to Human Carl's question. He's asking, Barry, why are our memories erased before we reincarnate? How can we improve without knowing what we did wrong?
Well, the first thing is it's incorporated into the soul matrix, so you can still access it. And that's what's too bad. A lot of people are kind of against regressions and things like that, but that's where you actually remove the blocks and you can access your super consciousness. That's the word I like, but people use all these different words: divine over self, higher self, all these different things. This book over here, read the book, the thought adjuster, all these different things, but the truth is that it can be accessed even when you access the subconscious, which are on the levels of consciousness that are theta and delta. When you start really accessing that, you have access to your soul life memories. And it's, somebody like me, I had to learn hypnosis, Dave, because I'm a control freak and I'm all paranoid, tripped out, stressed out, brother, and I can't let go. You know what I mean? Always got to be control. And it seemed like hypnosis would be a loss of control because of the horrible things you see on entertainment, or you've seen party hypnosis, which I don't agree with, or stage hypnosis, and that really delineates and erases the therapeutic part of it. Okay. So when dealing with that, so we do have access to it, but the fact is that so much is done, like we just got done saying, dealing with this world right here, there's very little energy left to go to these different levels of consciousness where we can access ourselves. The thing about that is that the superconscious, the oversoul, it has recorded everything we've ever experienced as immortal souls. And through quantum entanglement, all things being connected, you can access that information. Okay, so that's the thing. But part of it is that we wipe some of it clear so that we can learn again. But to the degree we come here wipe clean is a little extreme. And there's other factors that are pushing us towards that. You know what I mean? So and one of the techniques that he asked too that I mentioned before is the recapitulation, just how to stop this from happening. And what that is starting to learn some of the breathing techniques like Kriya Yoga, specifically pranayama breathing, okay, which is a way to still the organs actually through breathing. that hardly ever happens with our bodies, which gives us enormous rejuvenation ability. Okay, but anyway, using the pranayama breath and actually using a technique that is actually moving from right to left and during this breathing technique, and during that you're actually reliving your life like an event, and you're reliving reconstituting every single piece of it. Then during the breathing, you're taking the energy back to you. We leave energy with everyone and everything we've done. You're taking that back. And what that does is that creates this recap, which is another life. Like your life has completely been reconstructed. And when that death force hits you, or you go through the beak or whatever you want to call it, all right, or hit that void, actually it takes that, and it takes that recap, but it relieves your actually soul life memories intact. That's what I was saying, trying to just say just before. Maybe I didn't do it right, but that's one of the techniques you can use, and the only one I know. Okay, so when you get these, I don't want to say it, but these fools telling people not to go in the light and misleading people and making it like somebody like me that crosses earthbound spirits, and I ask them, why didn't you go in the light when you died? They'll tell you for whatever reason. They may have been an alcohol or substance abuse, or they love someone, or yada yada. But they'll tell you why. But I've had some tell me recently, I didn't go in the light because I was told not to. I was told it was a trick. I was scared. And then they're trapped here, jumping on other people, ruining other people's by acting through negative behavior patterns that ruin the person's life that they're joined with. And as a medium, I can't detect these ones. They're not the ones on the outside that are like ghosts that are kind of attached to people. These are so deeply inside the energy field and inside a particular organ or place that holds trauma that you can't detect them. And the person doesn't know they're there either until we bring them forth and get rid of them. That's very serious. So people saying don't go in the light, they're causing that. They're causing more of that. And they're suffering. That means the client is suffering, the person's been joined, and the earthbound is suffering too. That's why they're living through people, trying to get that feeling of living again. And that's horrible. So these people giving, this misinformation, ask them, well, what do you do? They don't ever have a good subtle thing a good sufficient thing they'll tell you. Not what I just told you about the recap. Have them explain that. How can they know about that? Be careful of being very much discernment where you get information. Me included. Just use discernment. Sorry. Go. I feel like I'm watching this Coming to America the other day. I feel like I'm Arsenio Hall, and then you got man. I don't mean to sound like I'm preaching, but there are people out here listening, and some of us, can be scared because we hear these things and we don't know, So at least find somebody, if they're telling you not to go in light, ask them, hey, are you a medium? Hey, can you communicate with the dead? Yes or no? Have you had a near-death experience? Have you died? Did this happen to you? Did you go to one of these traps? How'd you get out of it? What's the deal? 3, have you worked with spirits? Have you worked with the earthbound population inside the energy field or outside? Do we even know about that? What are we talking about here? It's real serious stuff. And a lot of them cannot answer that, and they just get mad and start projecting anger.
Barry,
anyway, sorry, Dave.
Seconds, yeah, man. And I'd like to do this early in the new year as well with you, to kick off the new year, see what you think, what's in store for 2025, if you don't mind. And we'll line up a date with that. But do me a favor quickly here, 25 seconds. Tell everybody where they can find your information. Again,
Barry Littleton on YouTube is a good one. Please subscribe, hit the bell. Another one, I'm on Patreon. I also do a lot of stuff on Facebook. Barry Littleton on Facebook as well. I try to communicate with people a little bit on there. Those are the 3 avenues I use right now. I'm also on Instagram under Barry Littleton. Those are the main social media places I use now. My website's barrylittleton.com, but it needs to be upgraded. Email barrylittleton13@gmail.com.
Swamp Dwellers next, kickoff hour number 3, everybody. Then Robin Haynes with the Crypted Report. We'll be right back. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. My man, you were awesome as per usual.
Hey,
You always,
thanks, brother.
you always deliver.
Sorry, I shouldn't have got on the Earthbound spirit thing, man. I didn't mean to go there on that. It just happened somehow.
You know what? It was meant to happen, my man. It was meant to happen.
Right. Okay, cool. I was afraid I've kind of veered us off from what we're supposed to be talking about.
No, that's the beauty of this show, my friend, is we just let it happen. And you brought it large and in charge. So I will let you go, my friend.
Hey, thank you, my friend. Thank you. I appreciate you, Dave. Thanks for having me here, and you have a good night, man.
I'll get a hold of you about booking a date for the early new year, okay?
Yeah, I'd be honored, man. Thank you very much.
All right, my friend.
Okay, hey, man. Thank you, brother. Take care, man.
Bye-bye. God, I love that guy. Barry Littleton is a rock star, in my opinion. Just a rock star. We'll get him in soon. I'll be right back, everybody. Hi, Robin Haynes. All right, I'm back. Hi, Robin Haynes. So excited. So excited. Thank you tonight to Marty, CS, Jennifer, Deb times 2, Mama Catherine, W. David Page, and Ozzy Ange for a wonderful, wonderful night of super chats. Thank you very, very much, everybody. Very much appreciate your love and support. And yeah, we're having a good time. Kira, my dear, I hope you're doing well. Been thinking about you lots today. And yeah, don't forget to shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Make sure you check it on it. Out. Oot. Okay, whatever. All right, let's kick off the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. This is the show that you listen to nightly when you want to hear some really strange stuff. We're glad to bring it to you. Hey, I want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Xenodokium. Xenodokium is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp.
I've been sailing for 4 decades now, alone, mostly. I'd like to go out and just enjoy the ocean, as well as do a fair bit of fishing. I have a smaller boat for such things. Nothing fancy or huge, but big enough to get around and comfortable enough to sleep in during the short stints I would sleep. In all my years of boating around and sailing the Atlantic, I've never had an encounter quite like the one I found myself in during the trip I'm about to speak on. First off, being I sail alone, I generally don't sleep for very long. Depending where you're at and the precautions you make, you can sometimes get real sleep on the sea. But I always train myself to sleep no longer than 2 hours at a time, as I've always been worried I'd wind up off course or worse. I'm familiar enough with the ocean, and I have comfortably slept here and there for 8-hour periods, but I had to make sure I was far out and alone as possible, and I did the prep work to be able to safely do so. That's a long story though, and I'm getting a bit sidetracked, so anyway, for the purposes of keeping my identity private, from henceforth just call me Dave. The ocean is a beautiful place, and in my opinion, it's a world all its own. Sail the seas long enough, and you'll find out what I'm talking about. You'll find that when on land, you're itching to go back out again. For me, having done this sort of thing most of my life, it has gotten to the point that I consider the ocean my home. Life on land is alright, but there's nothing like the thrill and adventure of the unexpected. The ocean provides that in spades. On this occasion, I've been out at sea for about a week. It was late May in 2012, and I was fishing and relaxing. The days have been good to me, and I was grateful for another opportunity to be out on the ocean after taking some vacation time off work. The day went wonderfully, and the week was coming to an end. I would need to head back in a few days to make sure I got some time on land before heading back to work again. Night had fallen, and the forecast called for high winds, an unsettled ocean, and some rain. This is nothing I'm not used to handling, but I decided I'd try to make it through the night and the storm before attempting some sleep. Everything was calm till about 9 p.m., when the sun had completely set and the storm had come upon me. The waters were rough, and the storm certainly made its presence known to me. This didn't bother me in the slightest, and I was fully prepared to handle myself until I heard her voice. I lost my wife to brain cancer roughly 7 years prior to this event. She was the love of my life, and I'd been with her for over 30 years when she had passed. She used to go with me on my lengthy excursions out to the ocean. She was and is the only woman I could ever or will ever want in my life. The voice I heard was my wife's. I'm positive I was awake when this happened, and the first bolt of lightning, I swore, I saw her like you might see someone standing in the distance. She looked real, and she seemed to be trying to tell me something. I obviously was very perplexed, and I thought initially maybe sleep deprivation was getting to me. I remember refocusing and looking around me, only to realize the wind was picking up immensely. My radio was beginning to dip in and out, and my boat was beginning to be slammed. Keep in mind, as I said earlier, my vessel was nice and fully capable of handling the waters, but it's also smaller, and it was only now I realized the storm was much stronger than initially forecasted. I didn't panic, as the weather taking a sudden turn is fairly common. That said, I did try to radio out, and as I did, I got nothing. The next thing I knew, I looked up in time to see a fairly large surge of water hit my boat and knock me on my feet. I tried to turn the boat, but it was too late. Before I knew it, my boat was flipped and I was thrown into the ocean. I remember trying to get my head above water and popping out, taking a short breath before, bam, I was hit by another wave and dragged under. I fought with all of my might and fury, swimming to the surface again. Gasping for air, I looked up and I swear I saw my wife. I could faintly make out 2 words: keep swimming. I know how crazy this sounds, but on instinct, I trusted my wife's voice and I swam in her direction. I had no way of knowing for sure if this was really her or how it was even possible, but in my heart, something told me to keep swimming her way. I was hit with another blast of water from the ocean. Everything was backward. Up was down was up, and I truly felt like I was lost. Still, I pressed on, swimming with every bit of strength I had in me, until I had time to catch my breath again. Looking out and gasping for air, I could see my wife once again. She wore the red dress she wore the night we had celebrated our 30th anniversary. I just remember focusing on her and not really thinking about anything else, but trying to keep afloat. The truth is, reflecting back later, part of me did wonder, if I died there, would I be reunited with her? Still, in the moment, I was too focused on her image and survival to give up. I pressed forward and swam with all of my might. If it weren't for her guiding image and her voice, I'm sure I'd have completely lost everything and probably would have went under. I would have drowned or swum circles until I died. Thankfully, as I got closer to my wife, I felt a renewed vigor well up within me. It was because of her, and to this day I can't explain how, that I'm still alive. I swam in her direction for what felt like forever, and I'm sure it was at least an hour, until she faded. She faded before me within a few feet. She was close enough that I could reach, but upon trying to touch her, I only saw her sweet smile, and she faded. Instead of her skin, I felt the water, and just a few feet further, my boat was sitting upright and bobbing around in the ocean. I was able to reclaim my boat soon after, and the storm died down, not much longer after that. I'm not expecting anyone to believe me, but that night, I believe my life was saved by my late wife. I can't explain it. I didn't know if it was her ghost, my mind playing tricks on me, and using her image to keep me going, or something else, like some kind of weird survival trick, or if it was something else entirely, but to this day, that is the strangest and most dangerous trip I have ever taken to sea. The trip back home was uneventful. I never heard my wife's voice. saw her again, or ran into another storm or problem. I still boat today, but I wouldn't have if she hadn't been there with me that night. I won't pretend to know how or why it happened, but I'm thankful it did, and I hope when God finally decides it's my time, that she'll be waiting for me in the afterlife.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another great story. If you want more just like that, head on over to his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller. He's got thousands there, thousands for you to choose from and listen to just like that. All right, from the swamp to the forest, let's talk to Robin Haynes. Robin Haynes, it's always good to have you on Spaced Out Radio. How are you?
I'm good, and I always love being here. I have to say that was one of the Swamp Dwellers. Really, that was a good story.
I liked it. It was a little
I
long.
did.
I
I
try and
don't
keep
care.
it
It was
around,
worth it.
but that one just was good for me. That one
That
felt
was good. That was good. You know, it got me thinking too. And he was talking about the water. People don't really think about it much, but the Sasquatch swim all the time. Like they're really good swimmers. They've got those massive lung capacities. They can be underwater for long periods of time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's quite interesting to see how many animals can do that. There's a video right now of a lady on a canoe or in a boat, and you see this thing underwater, and it's like a giant cow with a
Oh,
giant
the water buffaloes. Water buffaloes.
walking underneath the water.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Well, and moose. I heard that moose go underwater like that too.
Yeah, moose will do that. Moose will do
But
that because they eat the fresh grass that's coming.
yeah, but yeah, they do. And you know, they see them over by Vancouver Island a lot.
We
There's
we call we call the moose around in British Columbia, we call them swamp donkeys.
no, but they do. Vancouver Island is really renowned for people seeing on the boats. They'll see like a Sasquatch out in the water or whatever. You
There's
know,
been I've heard stories from Vancouver Island because when you go a little bit higher up the island, there's a bunch of islands that like chains of islands that separate Vancouver Island from the mainland. And allegedly, there has been sightings many a time of Sasquatch swimming in between the islands to get
hmm
from mainland to Vancouver Island. So I find that very interesting that you bring that up.
Well, yeah. And when I lived in Michigan, one of the houses I lived in, we had a large pond dug. And there wasn't a fence around it. And we would hear them down there. Like you would hear them hollering back and forth, like from the woods to where the pond was at. You'd go down there the next day and there would be footprints everywhere, like just everywhere. You would see them and they would all come out of the water and they would go into the woods, you know. But I mean, they got into it a lot. And, you know, kids' pools, they're notorious for it. I would had the above ground pools for my kids. And when I was a kid, we had a below ground pool. And my dad, I can remember him always telling me he was sick and tired of every morning he'd go out there and in the skimmer where it filtered everything, it was full of hair. And he could never figure out where all this hair was coming from. Of course, I was a little kid. I didn't know. So then when I had kids, I had the above ground pools. And I always had they were at least 14 foot around. I had the big ones. And I'd go out there in the morning and part of the side would be caved in. There'd be mud and hair all through the whole thing. So I'd drain it all out, clean it all out, refill it. It would be completely fine and clean when I went to bed. I'd get up the next day, and if the side wasn't caved in, there was so much mud and hair floating in that pool. It was ridiculous. I mean, we couldn't keep one. We tried and tried and tried. A lot of times they'd cave the side in, climbing in and out of it. And I'd get up in the morning and the entire yard was flooded. It was awful. I gave up on it.
Oh yeah, I could totally see that. I can totally see that. There's a little bit of humor in that too.
Oh, yeah. It was funny because what else can you do but laugh? It's like you go to bed and it's crystal clear. You get up in the morning and it looks like a swamp. And you would find these tufts of hair in it and just more mud in the bottom of it. It's like, where in the world? But then you'd have the giant footprints on the outside of it as well.
I totally see that. Totally see that. I want to ask you, by
Sure.
the way, I was looking, actually, I'm on your website right now, for the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference in 2025. And I wanted to let our audience know, because I'll be speaking at an event. And
Oh, yeah.
it's in Grand Island, Nebraska. And I can't wait to get back there. It's April 25th and 26th. And I encourage everybody, every one of our listeners, come down and watch the 8th annual Nebraska Bigfoot Conference. This will be my second year there. Thank you to Robin for there. And what's really exciting about it, Robin, is not only do you have a bunch of great speakers in Jim Myers and Robert Kreider, Steve Berg, Christian McLeod, who's a good friend of this show, yourself, Ellen McGargle will be there, Ron Meyer,
Well,
good Canadian friends, Blaine and Lisa
we
Tyler.
have to, and I'm not trying to interrupt you. That is last year's guest list.
Is that last?
Yes, we update it generally in December, so it's ready for the first of the year.
Oh.
And so we have a lot of our guests are coming back. Like, we're really blessed because you're coming back. We love having you there.
Thank you.
Blaine Tyler and his beautiful wife, Lisa, will be there. Rob Kreider's coming back. Christian McLeod is coming back. I will be there. I don't know that I'm going to, I'm not like speaking like I normally do. We've got Christy Sci-Fi that's going to be speaking, and I'm going to go up for a few minutes with her a little bit, but I'm not going to do like my normal presentation like I do, but I will be on hand. So, because I have my regular people that come to see me. And so we've got those people that are there, and we've got some other ones. We've got another guest that I am waiting to announce, only because I want to get the website up and I want to get everybody's contracts to them and get that done. But it's going to be big. We had, last year it turned out really good. We had over 700 people that weekend, and it's looking like it's going to be bigger than it was before. They're supposed to have the casino done, which is right in that same complex. And we're trying, I'm going to say trying, to get our speakers so that we're staying at the casino. And we've been started in talks with them for that, because you're going to have the great buffet there. You're going to have the casino there. Everybody can, wine and dine there and just kind of hang out. And of course, we encourage all of our guests to come stay as well, because then we can all hang out together. So we've got a lot of really good, positive things coming, and I think it's going to be bigger and better even than last year. And I'm not sure, last year was so phenomenal. That was hard to top that one, but yeah. And we're going to have amazing vendors again. We're going to reroute your plane a different way, so you can actually be there with us the entire time instead of only part of it. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. In fact, we started our first planning meeting for it the other day. And so everything is already working. We've got some great promotion coming up, and we're excited. We're really pumped. Last year was so much fun. I can't wait for this year.
Oh, I can't wait either. I can't wait to get back there and see everybody again and spend some time. There's nothing better than getting to spend some time with people in your community. That is for sure. The exciting about it is, it's really exciting. And you don't even know this yet, but I'm coming to your event, and then a few days later after your event, we're doing the Merle and Dave hangout party in Vegas.
Oh, how fun.
So I am literally going to Nebraska, and then flying from Nebraska, instead of flying me back home to Vancouver, I'm flying to Nebraska and then flying to Vegas and then going home.
I think that's going to be great. We've got a few surprises coming up this year, and, really looking forward to that. Like I said, we had such great guests last year. We just loved it. And we had such a great response to them. So like I said, that's why we immediately asked you when you were there. We already had you rebooked before you even left. and we did the same. We were letting you go very far. So we did that with Rob Kreider and Blaine and Christian. And so we do have some ones that are coming back again, but we've got some more people coming as well. And it's going to be really fun. Really looking forward to it. Last year was our first year at Fauner Park, and it went exceptionally well. Like, we really didn't have any major difficulties, but now we can tweak it. And I would bet that, there's all these different event halls there. And we have a rather large one. We have one of the bigger ones. And I think we're going to outgrow it this year. I think this will be our last year in that one. And we're going to have to go to a bigger hall in the complex. So very excited.
I totally bet you're going to be able to do that. Totally.
Yeah.
But I just can't wait to get there. I can't wait to go from one event to the other. And once again, we ask all of our radio listeners to join us there, either in both in Nebraska and in Las Vegas, or join us in Nebraska or Las Vegas the weekend after. That's what's going to be fun.
Yep. And we're going to have, ticket sales, we usually start January 1st. So if you want to get them early, you can. You get a little bit of a discount that way. Trying to get scheduling organized. Everybody's already said, that they were coming and that kind of thing, but want to get it nailed down, get everybody's contracts to them so we know, and we've got it set down, and then we will release the new speakers. But what we do is we have left the ones up from last year so people can at least see what kind of quality speakers that we have, which we've been very blessed with. I mean, we get some really great speakers. Everybody has fun. And the best thing about our speakers is they want to communicate with the audience. They do. And so it's just like, everybody will come up to me afterwards and they're like, my gosh, it's like being at Old Home Week. Everybody just gets along and, has a good time. And it's just great. I don't do a lot of conferences, even if I'm asked, but I love the Nebraska one. I really do. It's just so much fun there. I did that when I did Spruce Pine Alien last year, and that was fun as well. But Nebraska is by far my favorite.
Right. And it's last year you guys hit it out of the park, and I can't wait to go back to that Mexican restaurant.
Wasn't that good? That was such a good restaurant.
I am so eating there.
I know. The food was fantastic. We're going to have to hit that a couple nights. You'll be able to eat there more than once because we'll have you there on time instead of, after half the conference is over.
Oh, I plan on it. Don't you kid yourself. I plan on that. I do want to, before we get into more Bigfoot stuff here, because we only got about 90 seconds left before we go to break at the bottom of the hour. And I do want to ask you more questions about telepathy. I'm on this telepathy right now.
Yeah.
But I do want to remind people that, we are not doing a fan party, so to speak, in Vegas. This is Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers and myself. We're going down to Vegas. We're hanging out. We're having a good time. We're going to try and find a paranormal place to investigate. We're going to try and find a vehicle or maybe a hitchhike out to Rachel, Nevada, to see the mountains of Area 51 in behind. And we just want to say, hey, if you guys all want to come on and join us and hang out, no pressure. Let's just have a beer, have a dinner, or do whatever we got to do to have a good time in Sin City, then we're going to do it. And you know what? If you can make it, great. If you can't, you can't. But that's where Merle and I are going to be, and we'd love to see you all there and hang out with us. There's no show, no nothing. It's just hang out, and I'm pretty sure there'll be some fun people there that you've heard on this show before. That will be May 1st to 4th, and the weekend before that, I will be talking in Nebraska at the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference. So I don't promote myself very much, but I am for that week because I want to see you all there as well. And yes, I will have my poker face on in Vegas. Always do. Robin Haynes in the Cryptid Report. We're going to get into telepathy next on Spaced Out Radio.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, Robin, we are clear.
Okay. Yeah, and you do one heck of a presentation. So, for anybody that comes, it's going to be phenomenal.
Oh, you're gonna love this next one.
I can't wait. I'm excited. Like I said, we got some good people coming, and I can't wait to get it all organized and get everybody where they're supposed to be. And I'm excited. I'm hoping we can get the casino. I mean, if it's done,
Yeah.
that would be so much fun.
Yeah, it would. Yes, it would. My presentation is going to be a full in-depth look at our encounters at Flight 21.
Oh, how cool.
Oh, yeah. I'm going really, really in-depth with it of what I think is happening there.
Nice.
And
Yeah, we're going to have a little bit wider range this year besides just the Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Last year we started getting more into a little bit of the dogmen and things, because when it was in Hastings in Nebraska, Hastings is a very small town, but we were kind of limited as far as how out there we could go. They were more just the flesh and blood group. And as we know, they are flesh and blood, but they're also multidimensional. So then last year, when we moved over to Grand Island, which is a little bit bigger city, we started going into the dogmen, and started making a bigger area of different topics. So we're hoping this year to not only have what you're talking about, but about some of the skulls and some of these other things. So very excited to kind of enlarge the topics. We love our Sasquatch. We love talking about them. Definitely going to be a lot of Sasquatch talk going on, but it's going to be nice to incorporate some of these other topics as well.
Good. Yeah, mine will include Sasquatch, ghosts, and aliens.
Nice. I love it. And they all hang together because of the frequency of all of them. They hang together. Like we have more ETs out right now than we have had, and I can't tell you how long. The ships are incredible. And it's not just myself and my family that sees them. Everybody's seeing them. They're not shy about it at all. And the more they're active, the more the Sasquatch are active. My daughter got up the other morning, looked out the bathroom window, and there was a red Sasquatch walking across the back of the yard. She was like, oh, okay.
We got about 2.5 minutes.
Sounds good.
Oh, yeah.
I think people are going to be really surprised with the amount of activity this year. I have a feeling it's going to be amped up.
Oh, yeah. I think we're going to have fun.
Yep. Well, and everybody's frequency with this frequency shift, everybody's frequency is up. When your frequency is up, your abilities are kicking in. You're telepathic. You're seeing all these phenomenal beings that are walking around because they're drawn to you because of the frequency. That's what it comes down to. No matter what you do, it's energy and frequency and consciousness.
Bingo. That's going to be great. Ow. I'm so uncomfortable tonight.
I don't know what it is. Everybody's been complaining about their back and being stiff. It's got to be the pressure.
I have a sciatic issue right now.
Ugh, that's miserable.
Yes.
I get it now and then, not all the time, but there's nothing more painful. I'm telling you, other than a toothache, that the sciatica is bad.
Yep, I've had it for like 2 weeks.
Ugh.
All right, we got about 40 seconds here. And let's say thank you to Ozzy Ange, Marty, CS, Jennifer, W. David Page, Mama Catherine, and Deborah Rooney ×2 for the lovely super chats. We really do appreciate it. And don't forget, you could go to NebraskaBigfootMuseum.com to get your tickets ordered for the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference coming up April 25th and 26th, 2025. If you want to see me speak on Flight 21 and the entire presentation, you got to be there. You got it. It's going to be great. We got 7 seconds. Final half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. I like bringing the weird and strange to you. And by the look of our numbers each and every show, you like it too, which is awesome because we're going to keep doing it. We're just going to keep doing this thing.
Yeah, totally.
So are. We're going to bring in Robin Haynes here momentarily, but first want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to YouTube and typing in Spaced Out Radio. You can check us out on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Each week, Robin Haynes joins us for the Cryptid Report. And Robin, thank you again for being here, as I want to get into a topic. We've discussed it before, but yesterday, as I said with Barry Littleton a little bit earlier on the show, yesterday, everybody on Xland was kind of going crazy about this conversation that Grant Cameron had with a lady named Kai regarding telepathy and autistic.
Okay.
And it got me thinking about you. Not that you're, because you do have telepathic communication.
Yeah.
Sasquatch, and you've had it with other cryptids, and you believe, I know you are intuitive, I know you are psychic medium, I know you are a communicator of weird and strange things, whether it's cryptids, ghosts, aliens.
Yeah.
How do you know what they are saying? Let's break this down.
Well, first you have to understand what it is. Okay, because the words telepathic or mind speak are very misleading. When you are telepathic, when you have mind speak, you get it in a lot of different ways. It's not just words booming in your head. It can be. It absolutely can be. It can be letters. It can be an image, a picture, something that plays like a video. But it also can be a feeling. And this is where people don't realize they're getting it when they do. It's any thought, feeling, image that you get that is not your own, that just comes to you. You can be out in the forest and all of a sudden you walk around a corner and you just have a sense of knowing that something happened and you know what happened. That's all part of it. It tends to be, when it comes to these cryptids and these other beings, it's not just words in your mind. It's feeling it. It's experiencing it. It can be a projection of emotions that get it. And I explain this to people because I teach people how to mind speak. And it's like, if you're at home, Dave, with your wife, and you're in the living room, and all of a sudden, she's going to say something before she says it and you respond to it. And all married couples do that. You're connected enough where you do it. Or you go and you say something to somebody before they even ask you the question. It's because everything is done through your consciousness, and through a consciousness level, you're picking it up. That's how you're getting it. But everybody gets it differently. And I think we tend to limit ourselves, and that makes us so that we don't realize we're even getting it. It's very subtle at times, and at times it can be that giant voice in your mind. I mean, I've had literally Sasquatch yelling at me because I knew they're trying to get my attention and I was doing something and I didn't get to it as quick as they wanted me to. And then they were yelling in my head. So what happens is, when your frequency, because everything is energy and frequency, which transfers into your consciousness. When your frequency is elevated enough, you're able to pick up the mind speak. Okay. Nobody stays at the same frequency 24 hours a day. We have our good days and our bad days, our highs and our lows, and our frequency is going to go up and down with it. That's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. When you go from that third dimension, which is just a physical, and you start going into that 4D, then you start getting the mind speak. And of course, the higher up you go, then the better you can hear it. But the thing of it is it's a sense of knowing. Like I've gone out in the woods and just had a sense of knowing of all these different things that have happened there. Now, because I've done this since I was a little kid, I did it before I even knew that not everybody could. And so if I, like, let's say I wanted to talk to a certain Sasquatch that I talk to on a regular basis, all I'm going to do is think about them and just start talking, and it draws them in. It's all done through the collective consciousness, which we are all more than capable of. There is nobody on this planet or any other planet that is not capable of mind speak. It's a matter of figuring out what it is, because in the beginning, it seems so different that we don't believe it. We've been taught by the powers that be that we don't do these things. And it's all a fallacy because we've always been able to. It comes from the higher consciousness. It comes from the higher frequency. And once you start to experience it, you know, it's like I talk to the dogs. I talk to my cats. You know, they're extremely telepathic. You tend to realize, you question it at first. That's normal for everybody. Everybody questions it at times. You know, that's why it helps if you have somebody else around you that can mind speak to verify it. Because as you get it verified, it gives you confidence. As you become more confident, your frequency goes up and you're going to hear more and you're going to get more. This is why I always suggest to people, when you're going in the woods, in your mind, talk to them. Because even if you don't think you're hearing them, they can hear you. And what generally happens with the people that I'm working with and other people that do it on their own is as your frequency goes up and as you're talking to them and you get more relaxed around it, you eventually get bleed over into it and you'll hear them. You will get them. But people go and they look for the big, bold voice in your head, and that's not what it always is. More times than not, it's just a sense of knowing or feeling a situation, a projection of emotions that are onto you so that you know what's going on.
With the telepathy that you are recording, how do you know that it's them speaking and not your imagination?
Energy signatures. This is so important. Everything has an energy signature. Energy signatures do not lie. They just don't. You can't fake it. Doesn't matter what you are, who you are, you can't fake it. Everybody and everything has an energy signature. I don't care if it's a rock or your toothbrush. It has an energy signature. So when you're talking to these things, let's say there's one that, Dave, that you talk to, his name is Ralph, and you talk to him all the time. After you're talking to him for a while, you're going to get a sense of a feeling of what he feels like energetically. So then maybe one day all of a sudden one comes in and says, "Hey, I'm Ralph." And it feels different. When you get that feeling that doesn't feel like what you know Ralph to feel like, you don't respond. Because if you respond, whatever this is that's trying to come at you and say it's Ralph, that gives it an opportunity to attach to you. So you don't respond. The next thing you're going to do is get your mind off anything that has to do with it. I don't care if you switch it around and you think about eating apple pie. Don't let your mind go to it because it will connect. Get something, turn the music up, okay? Because you can hide out in white noise. You want something upbeat, happy, but loud. And then you can go from there, and then you start pulling the energy out of yourself, put it around yourself like a bubble, and it pushes them away. But everything has an energy signature. And I stress this to people all the time. That is your saving grace, because you will always know whether something you're dealing with is good, bad, if it's the ones you're looking for or not. So that is so important to learn how to do, especially in this field of research.
Okay, and I agree with you on that. I still am one of these people who is skeptical about the entire phenomenon of telepathy. I want to believe, I do believe that it is possible for animals to communicate with each other.
Mhm.
I'm just not sure if I can on this end. And
That
so, how do I train myself if I wanted to say telepathically communicate with my dog or my cats or even the Sasquatch I go looking for?
Well, to begin with, it all comes about with confidence. And that confidence is going to come about over time, having people verify what you're getting to see if you're getting it right or not. Again, frequency, 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 frequency. Your frequency has to be up to be able to do it so that you can tap into the consciousness, because that's where it comes from. So, what you would start doing is just simply talk to the Sasquatch. It doesn't matter in the beginning if you can hear them, they can hear you. And over time, you're going to start to notice that you're going to have information bleed in, and you're going to be like, why do I know this? It doesn't have to be a voice. It's a matter of getting information. And you're going to notice these things. And as you're talking to them and your frequency is up, then you're going to notice little things where they're going to be more available, whether it's tapping on your window or, watching you more in the woods. It's a slow process at times. Everybody can do it. Sometimes when we're working with new abilities, it goes very quickly. Other times it goes as slow as drying paint. That's normal. Okay. And like I said, some days people's frequencies are up, some days there's down. But what you're going to do is, and you want it to be a natural thing. If you focus too hard, you actually block yourself. So it's just like having a very common conversation. Just like if you're talking to your son, it's going to be the same way. If you're outside in the yard working, in your mind, you're focusing on them. And because they are so telepathic, when you think about them a lot, it picks up on their radar. It really does. And the more you're talking to them that way, the better chance you're going to get a mind speak. It's not uncommon to have them come to you in dream state first, or it just is a thought that you don't know why you have it. You could be outside washing the car and all of a sudden out of nowhere, you get this, I need to take an apple out to the woods. And you're like, why did I even think of that? Why would I think about taking apples out to the woods? Well, it didn't get there by itself. They want an apple. It's so subtle that we miss it. So in learning to speak the mind speak, in learning to be telepathic, it comes down to recognizing the signs. And you are always going to have doubts. The longer you do it, the more verification you get, the more secure you get with it. I've been doing this my entire life, and I still have stuff verified now and then. Like if I'm not sure if I'm getting it right, I will get hold of someone that is also telepathic and say, okay, you check and find out just to make sure I've got it right. They send me out, the Sasquatch send me out to do different things in various places for them. So especially some of the dicey stuff, I will make sure it's not only that I'm getting it, but I'll have one or two other people verify it to make sure that I've got it right. So, I'm not putting myself in a bad place or them in a bad place. But even if you go out in the woods and just sit on a log and just talk to them in your mind. We're so used to verbalizing communication that we forget that our first language was actually more telepathic than it ever was verbal. It's like a mom with a child. Before these kids can talk, we instinctively know what they want because they're telepathic. You anticipate what that baby wants because you're getting it into your consciousness and then you respond. It's the same thing. The biggest problem with telepathy is learning to find it and recognize it. But everybody's capable of it. I've not found one person yet that can't.
Is there a difference? And please forgive me for asking this potentially foolish question. Is there a difference between telepathy and mind speak?
I think mind speak, and it's a really good question, actually. My own personal interpretation of it, I think telepathy is more limiting to the mind. When you go to mind speak, it's encompassing more of everything. Okay. Depending on who you ask, a lot of people say it's the same thing, just different verbiage. I personally feel like mind speak encompasses a larger area. And it's really important that you realize it covers that much ground. I walked out in my woods one day. All I did was walk out there. I was just going for a walk. I hit a certain area. I knew there was a female out there. She had a baby hidden in the brush, and she was worried that something was getting too close to it. I mean, this whole scenario. And I could feel how terrified she was because empathetically, I picked up her fear. That's all part of mind speak. It really and truly is. And you can go through the scientific approach and say it's not, but it is. You know, I've done this for so long, and I know hundreds of other people that do it. I'm not the only one. But you pick up all of it, it turns into the entire package. It's not just a word or two. Now, I had an older black male Sasquatch that was at one of my houses in Michigan. And I was talking to somebody, and he was trying to get my attention. And I was listening to my friend who was having problems at the time. And he was yelling in my head. He wanted my attention. And he got tired of it because I ignored him. I was trying to help my friend, and he finally got mad enough because I ignored him, where he just yelled my name out as loud as he could. You know, everybody heard it because he got frustrated. They have an infinite amount of patience. If they're standing behind a tree and they don't want you to see them, they can stand like that for hours at a time. But if they have something to say to you, they are like a toddler on crack. Like they have no patience, zero patience when it comes to mind speak.
Got a question coming here from Polly. Now, if I can find it, she says, I guess the intention you put in your thoughts come out while communicating.
Absolutely. Everything that you do when you're working with any type of paranormal being or, you know, human hybrid, anything that has the potential to have abilities is done through your consciousness. I can't stress it enough. Everything is energy, frequency in your consciousness. So when you have that intent, because they can read your intent, and that's a form of communication as well. They pick up that intent off of you and they respond to it. And it helps with the communication. It's part of the communication because your intent will transfer into the mind speak. That's why they say, you know, and I've said this to people before, when you walk out in the woods, kind of mentally announce yourself, put your intent out there. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here with a pure heart, which a pure heart to them means that you're a good person. So you walk out there, your intent that you're putting out is that I'm just out here to enjoy nature. And if you want to interact with me, always be sure to say, if you want to interact with me and come to me with a pure heart, then I welcome you. If you don't have a pure heart, I don't want you near me, you know, because that way you're not inviting anything bad. But your intent is vital. It really is, because they're going to read your intent anyway. You can't lie to them. They're a lie detector test 24 hours a day. You cannot lie to them. They're going to know your intent before you ever even try to communicate with them. But that intent, Polly's exactly right, 100% right. That intent will transfer over to them into the mind speak. It's all part of it because it's all done through your consciousness. And the end goal is to become a collective consciousness. This is why they know what each one of them is doing at any given time. You know, if anybody's out there trying to harm one, you can guarantee that the rest of them are on their way, if they are not already there, because they are all linked through the consciousness.
2 minutes to go here before we kind of have to call it the night, unfortunately, because this is going really, really fast. Can the cryptids or the paranormal or the ETs read those thoughts in your brain before you say it? Because there's been times when I've been going up to my Sasquatch site and I will feel on my way there that they already know I'm coming.
And that's mind speak. That feeling that you got, Dave, that is a form of mind speak. And they absolutely do, because there is a disconnect from when your body formulates through your intent, through your consciousness, what it wants said and what meaning it wants until it gets to your brain. Okay. using your consciousness is not just your brain. It's part of who you are. It's part of your entire being. It's part of your soul. It's part of your frequency. And there is a disconnect from the time that you energetically read something until it gets to your brain. So absolutely, you don't have to formulate it and speak it. They know it before you have finished coming up with the sentence in your head. They already know it because they're reading your intent. They're reading that consciousness.
Interesting. When they're reading that consciousness, can they read your thoughts?
Yes. Yes.
Now, is that for everything under the phenomena or just specific to certain creatures?
No, that's from what I've experienced in my lifetime. It's pretty much throughout the board. It's like if I'm interacting and I'm talking with an ET, okay, because there are certain things that I'll work on for the Sasquatch and I'll want information from the ETs. All you do is think about what you want to speak with and just go from there, and it just pulls you that way. And like I said, I have stuff that I've had verified over and over again on and off through my life. I don't have to all the time, but on the important stuff I do just for accuracy. And I've had people with me that can mind speak and get the same thing I'm getting. You know, but no, they absolutely can. Anything with the paranormal abilities, because every paranormal entity is of a higher frequency. And people are starting to learn this more and more and more. Everything comes down to that energy, the frequency, and the consciousness. There's no way you can do anything without it, because that's what everything is encompassed in. And then it spreads out and fans out from there.
Robin Haynes, it's always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio. 20 seconds. Tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me at Robin Haynes, no middle initial, on Facebook, or at my website at www.paranormal-empowerment.com.
I love it. It is so great to have you here, Robin.
Oh,
And we
thank you so much.
will talk to you next week, my dear.
I will be here. You guys
All
take
right.
care.
Good night to Robin. And hello to Mr. Bumblefoot Thal, rocking us in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Elgap, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on X, hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SMR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share anything with us, because together, my friends,
Don't make a mistake. We're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot. We need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Blue Train has docked for the night. And soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Awesome. 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 Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Awesome. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Let's go here. Go there. Nice and relaxed. Just a happy little tree. You know how it goes. Put a happy little tree over here. Happy little tree over there. Thank you, Search and Destroy. Appreciate you. Thank you, Deborah Rooney, for the hat trick. Deb loves a good hat trick. I just want to hear something here. All right. Let me just hear something here for a second. Can the cryptid
is encompassed in.
everyone in our chat rooms tonight? YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X, hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
That's cool.
I mean that when I learned about you a couple of years, Dave Scott sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Momentarily, shut up. Oh, Chris. Teen, you're not even inviting me over for breakfast? I eat good tacos, just so you know. Breakfast burritos, I eat those. Those are good for me. What are you waiting for, Deb? What are you waiting for? Oh. There you go, Debster. That was for you. That was for you. Just. Dave loves a good taco. I'm not being pervy about that either, just for clarification. Oh, yeah. You're literally, Christine, reading that. My mouth is watering. Not going to lie. My mouth is watering. Deborah Rooney, are you going to join us in Vegas? Oh, let me check. No, he did not. JSCO, he did not. Not that I've seen. You know, Fab, the way that comment, Fab says Canadians have no say when it comes to food. They can't even drive on the right side of the street. Oh, wait, is that Australia? We drive on the same side of the street, you Momo. But you know what? That comment about not being able to comment, you know who else makes comments like that, Fab? Your hero, Justin Trudeau. Dear Leader makes comments like that. Are you a fan of Dear Leader there, Fapperoony? Yeah, ask Dave anything now. Just go ahead, fire some questions. PRM, how you doing? No, I didn't get to. My son never got in trouble. Thank you for reminding me. My son never got in trouble for smacking the bully at school. Sure, Mike Bothwell. 1 second. Is my sciatica better? No, I got treated on it. It'll feel better once I go upstairs and lay down. Get a couple of pillows between my legs. Grandizer, I'll put the email in here. Or get a hold of Dirty Filth. Let me see what we could do for you here. Let's go here. And let's go. I'll cross that out. Why is it live? Where is live? Oh. Well, let's go. All right, let's see what's happening in the Nibby. We got Oryx there. I haven't done the African stuff in a while. Let's go. What's the other one there? Hold on. Let's find some more here. See if we can get something a little bit more interesting. Let's go African. Let's go live. Well, that one we're just staring at trees. Hold on. They got a bunch of new cameras here. New camera angles. That's pretty. Hold on. Let's show this one here. This is actually kind of pretty. There we go. Look at that. That's pretty. We're just waiting for something to sneak up here, like an alligator in here or something. try and find another one here. Hold on. Let's go here. Let's see what's happening at Old El Doño Lodge. Nothing. Nothing there. All right. Well, let's find another one here. Let's go to Kruger. Oh, that looks like a dried up watering hole. Hold on. Let's continue. Never been to this one. Like that place isn't filled with alligators and hippopotamuses. Yeah, let's go swimming at the river. Uh-huh. What else we got here? Let's see, cat eye.
Building your online business?
No, we don't want to build a business.
Go to Wix.com
I'm so going to
and set
buy
up your
YouTube
store.
Premium here pretty quick. Come on, let's get the camera working. There we go. We got to try and find some animals here. Hold on here. Let's go to Rosie's Pan. That's my favorite. Let's see what's there right now. A hippo. We have a hippo. There we go. We have a hippo at Rosie's Pan. Do you guys remember the time we were showing this? And the hippo was in there, and the entire, like half of Rosie's Pan, this little pond here, was surrounded by elephants. Do you remember that? Let's hope that the hippo farts. Then we'll see some bubbles. I love hippos. What's weird is that hippo is like, I believe, all alone in there, although something is causing ripples down below there. Let's see if there's anybody in a chat room here. Oh, it doesn't have a chat room. It's disabled. Oh, finally, they zoomed out. Very cool. Very cool. So we got the hippo. What else is coming? Oh, let's take a look here. Is there anything over there besides the birds? Not seeing anything. Is that a second hippo there, or is that just like a rock? That might be a second hippo in there making that bubble there. But I'm curious if that's a rock. This is the one that's got me curious. Unless that's the birds hitting the water, but I didn't see a bird hit that. Let's see. No. She got the birds coming in and eating the bugs. Got the hippo here. But there was another one right there. See, right there? No, that's coming from underneath. There is more hippos in here. There is more than one hippo. Come on up. Wonder how deep this is. See that? That was like a hippo fart right there. That's Tim James underwater right there. Never go swimming with Tim James. It's Africa, man. Hot there. Who's on tomorrow night? Merle. We have a Merle night. Merle. Tomorrow night. Say it with me. Oh, we're zooming back in on the hippo. Oh, is she getting up? Well, rotating. All right, everybody, we're going to call it the night. Thank you to W. David Page, Mama Catherine, Deb with a hat trick, Jennifer, CS, Marty, Ozzy Ann, Search and Destroy for the great super chats. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. No, I did not. Much love to all of you. We'll see you all tomorrow night for Merle. Don't forget, if you're new, hit subscribe, ring that bell. We're here 7 days a week. And please like and share on all your social media platforms. We'll see you soon, everybody.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.